I'm pretty much
So
ready to go.
why don't you
Okay.
open up the meeting and
Okay,
do your
okay.
little...
All right, I open the meeting. The first thing I want to tell you is
Hi,
that
David. So nice to be here with you tonight.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I've seen you before. We have received input from the New Paltz Government Efficiency Project, okay, which addressed proposed changes on manpower, etc. And I was handed to me the other day, but I'm not sure that I'm in a position to be able to pass it out. But I will by the next meeting, okay?
Who's it from?
Kevin and
Barry.
Brian. Kevin, Barry, and Brian's committee.
Oh, the Human Resources.
Human
Right.
Resources
Okay.
Committee, yes, okay?
You said Efficiency Committee.
Well, that's what they call themselves.
It's a New Paltz Government Efficiency Project is how they titled it, but it's a Human
but
Resource Committee.
He gave it to me, but he said this is the final report, but it hasn't been approved
'Cause
by
what-
the committee yet.
what I
So
did-
that's why I want to
yeah.
I want to hold it up.
And then it's fine. And what happened was they did finalize it, but then the night they had the meeting where they were going to approve it, we had a special town board meeting for the public hearing on hydrofracking. And in order for us to have a quorum, Kevin could not leave and get back to his committee, meaning he had to stay with us to keep it for a quorum. And then his committee chose not to do anything because he wasn't there. So they're waiting for the next meeting.
All right,
and,
so
yeah.
we gotta. I just assume wait in case
Sure.
there's any last
And
minute
I'm
changes.
on-
It's
I'm
not
on that
something we
committee.
would take
Okay,
up
so
tonight
you're-
anyway. Okay, because we have to think. The first thing I want to work on is expenditures in the page, and it's A14204. We had previously projected proposed $75,000 for the combined.
Wait, Dave, I just want to... What are you looking at right now?
14204 law.
Page.
Yeah, he's in law.
Oh, you're doing the
14204.
expenditures, right?
What?
You're doing expenditures, right?
I
I'm
got
doing
it on the
expenditures. That's right. Okay.
Okay.
Now the first thing we had put together when we only had the town and the village, we had projected 175,000. But now if we add in the town B fund, okay, which adds another 60,000, I think that we've got to up that figure. Maybe to
disagree.
something like 125,000, but
Number one, we talked about this when we were working on the budget. And the town does not have attorneys on retainer. One of the things that Susan is working to do. Okay, right now she's working to do it. Previously, it's all been hourly. And the planning board and whatever other committees in the town, the way they do their attorney's fees is hourly, and it also shows in their various budgets. And so we think that 75,000 is a very reasonable retainer.
well, I think there will always be. I mean, even if you got an attorney and you put them on a retainer, okay, I think that's very low. But besides that, there are going to be aspects that he will. You will need to get outside comment. I mean, not going to cover every aspect of town law, zoning, and all of that type of thing. You get past it. I think it should be higher,
Well,
but that's
let
my
me-
opinion.
Well, a couple of things. With the B, 60,000 for the B fund, I wouldn't let that concern you too much right now, because remember I explained how the way it's being book kept now, but it won't be done that way next year, is that they were reflecting the money that comes in from escrow for the for the lawyers. So they have it in as revenue, but they also have it in as escrow, in expenditures. But this is developers' money. This should not be reflected in the general fund budget, and this needs to be in its own separate trust and agency account. Because at the end of the year, if we take this money and we haven't spent it, we put it in the fund balance, that's not our money. That's the developer's money for his project next year to keep going and to be charged against. And so this year's budget coming forward, this is taken out. We will be establishing separate accounts, and you won't see this kind of money. So you'll see a little bit of money, for lawyer and engineer in the B fund for things that are a little bit more generic and not specific to a specific project, per se, that's not being billed back to the escrow. But this number's not a real number to concern yourself with. The only thing I would want to ask Nancy and Sally, and in terms of the 75,000, is if you're looking at that as a retainer for just the municipal attorney, because if that's the case, like right now in the town, we have our quoted town attorney, of which we do bill hourly, but we have our labor attorney because we have more labor issues than you do relative to the police and, the buildings and grounds and the highway and whatever. So, and having a labor attorney when you have police contracts is really important. You need expertise, in that area kind of stuff.
Maybe
and
that should be part of the police department's budget. Then.
Well, we can, but if we're going to do that, let's just figure that out. But let's, make sure that we calculate.
No, seriously. Why
Well,
do you
let's-
think
Because
the
it's the only
police department budget?
the only
If it
problem.
pertains to the police department,
Well, yeah, but it
It's a
also
specific-
pertains to all municipal employees for the town.
No.
Not just
No, no. For
The
us, our
labor
labor
attorney,
attorney,
yes.
we use them
It's
for
everybody. It's
Teamsters.
every
We use them for
municipality
Teamsters. We
should
use them
be
for
charged to
our
us.
But
for our.
the bulk of the town's labor attorney is police.
Well, regardless,
No, it's not.
regardless, it doesn't really matter where we
No,
put it. I'm
I
just
agree
saying
with
that
you,
we
Susan.
have a cost for the labor attorney, and then what I'd also say is that we also, well, I mean, I guess in a sense, where we've used our town attorney, we have also used expertise, like when it comes to like all the environmental stuff we do. A lot of times we'll like go to George Rodenhausen or some other kind of environmental attorney that we bring in on some of our project-specific stuff. So, I mean,
And some of this actual expenditure, Dave, reflects the lawsuit, which hopefully was a one-time item.
Well, the only problem, Sally, that I have, and I still think it should go up, is that in the human resources things, they are recommending major changes to
contract negotiations.
benefits, okay, and there are a lot of union contracts that are going to have to be combined and put together. So, and I think that is going to need additional legal help that you would above and beyond what you might anticipate in a regular operation. But I would like to add at least a portion of that money additional. I think it's way too low.
Okay. I'm going to go back and say, and remind us all again, we are talking about 2011, not 2014-15. If on the 2014-15 budget, when we project it out, we want to add some money for the purposes of transactional negotiations, I'm happy with that. But if we're talking about what the budget would look like in 2011 if we were merged, $75,000 is a reasonable amount.
And our note on the future takes some of Dave's point. We talk about 2014-15 budget saying recommend the 75 plus appearances. In other words, if lawyers have to appear in court, if they do other things beyond the retainer, then that would obviously be an extension of that
Right.
sum of money.
If it's okay, I'd like to stop for a second and just backtrack for a minute, getting off of the lawyer specific, because Nancy and I talked about this today when we were sort of reviewing all the numbers to see, if we felt comfortable, from the town's perspective and, from the village's perspective. So I just want to throw out something in terms of going forward, an idea that Nancy and I sort of talked about in a way. We're going through this budget. We know that we have a 2011 town budget. That's real. It's what it costs to do the town. We've got a 2011 village budget, what it really costs to run the village, right? Now we're somewhat looking at, what kind of savings we think we would have had if it was a combined budget.
At that time.
At that time, right, I know.
Yeah.
But what Nancy and I talked about as a possibility was keeping that 2011 budget that says if we were a merged government, this is what it would have cost, okay? But then taking that same budget and not projecting it out to 2015 in a way, because I'm not so sure what relevance that has in a way without you projecting out the town budget and the village budget at the same time as a comparison. So what we sort of thought about was taking the 2011 merged budget of what it would cost to run the government now, but then look at it and start to say, okay, now for a truly combined government moving forward, okay, what would it really cost? What do you think the real cost would have been? And then start to play with that budget to sort of then make a modified government, combined governmental budget, because then at least you're still dealing with, four budgets that then are comparable in terms of a town 2011 budget, a village 2011 budget, what we believe somewhat of a combined budget would have been if we were operating together, and then what we think, a 2011 budget as a combined thing, a best budget practices, would actually, what we think it would look like. And it just, instead of projecting out, that's all.
There's a problem. I think that there are some abnormal situations that happened with the 2011 budget, and we recognize that. But I think what we were trying to look is 214, because if 214 and 215, what the town budget would be and what the village budget would be, or a combined budget, okay? Because the problem you have, and this is what we had this discussion initially, okay? If you're going to take, this is the 2011 separate budgets, then the budget itself cannot be less than the figure that the town expended on that, or the village expended on that creature.
It can be because, no, not necessarily in the sense that it absolutely could be. If you're saying, okay, we know what we're really spending. Well, I think almost all of us sitting at this table believe that if we were two merged governments, we would be spending a lot less. Okay? And so what you're showing by this merged budget is right now a potential $1 million to $2 million savings if we had merged in 2011. So,
but the point is this, that we hadn't. But okay, but
I know, but that's what we're doing right now. That's what this combined budget is what we
I know
believe.
that, but
okay.
Can we just say something? It is not a combined budget. It is a combined actual expenditure. It is not a budget.
That's right.
I was going to say that.
Well, okay, wait a second, but it's not.
And the whole key is this is what the actual would have been, and then we're supposed to be projecting.
Because we're
had
not
we come
using
together,
the
what it would have
budget
been.
to budget. Susan, you're right. Is what I'm saying. You're right
Uh-huh.
in what you're proposing
Right.
and how we do it.
Uh-huh.
The orange bar is what the village and town both spent.
Right, combined.
11,
Right,
combined.
right.
But the point that I want to make, and this is the problem to go back, and I want to go back, and this same page, we'll go up at the top of the page, okay, and it says, court contractual, the town says 76,483. I'm sorry, but you can't put in less than 76,483, because
Well, you had the combined
11, 10.
A11104.
A1104. Okay.
Well,
You
show
said
combined
it should be
saving.
50,000. Well, you say there should be 50,000, but it was 76,483. So I don't see how you could reduce it.
Well,
Well, but if the idea was that if the two governments were working together, there would be a savings of that amount. Not
I
that
true
the
that.
town
I
spent
true that.
less.
I true that. But in a court contractual operation, all right, it's the court is completely in the town today.
Sure.
All right, and I presume those contractual expenses
They were paid.
were legitimate expenses. All right, okay,
reason-
I have to assume that.
No reason
So
to think they
that
weren't.
if we combine, why would it make any less though?
and the court one, I happen to agree in the sense that we talked about this and we went through the court numbers, so I'm not really sure where you're seeing the savings in the court, other than the fact that maybe if they bought some equipment that we wouldn't buy again. I don't remember. I'd have to look at the worksheet,
I know where it was. It was because of the parking violations moving over into the court and saving 1.5 clerks is where it went.
That's on another. That's on another line, Sally.
That's a different line, Sally, because
That's a different
court
line.
contractual.
Personnel.
Court,
That would be under personnel.
yeah,
We're
court
doing
contractual
Yeah.
was 76,000. Can you grab me this book right here?
This one?
Yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
carried the personnel
Over.
over, so we made no change in personnel. Maybe the point is that the change should have been made the prior line up. But if you combine the two in the orange with the two, and compared to the two in the red, there is a savings of $26,000 because of what you're saying. Putting parking violations in there you thought.
No, I don't think we never did the
No,
parking
the
violations.
parking-
We kept them separate because we never made a decision about, oversight and all that, where it really belonged, and we said we'd get to that later.
Well, there's a lot of that kind of consideration that still has to be done with this sheet. This is only a.
We
Right,
understand
right,
it. We
right.
understand that. Okay, not a question about that. It's just that.
Contractual, you have 76.
For parking violations, we rolled over the numbers for personal services and contractual.
That's right.
So
In court
if they
contract-
were saved, if we saved any money at all, it's the one that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's just high.
Nancy,
for
is that the annual?
contractual.
Is that the
This is
annual report?
mine. I lent
Oh,
mine
that's
to
all-
somebody. Was it you? I
Yes,
gave
you
mine
did.
to?
Here's yours.
The town one.
Has mine.
No,
Who's
hey,
got
I
the
gave
t-
him mine. I thought.
Who's got the
Oh,
town
you
one?
did.
No,
Mine,
you gave
yeah.
me this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I gave him.
Is that the town one?
Didn't I hand you mine? I said there's a lot of writing in
You
here.
got the town one?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
mine.
I'm just,
This is mine.
if you can
Okay,
look up the
that's yours.
town,
That's mine.
because I don't understand
That's
where that
yours.
7643 is
Yeah. Okay,
coming
see if
from,
you
because that's
find-
not what's in the
I'm
budget
looking
book.
for my reference.
I actually think we were questioning the contractual expense. It's very high.
That's not what, so that's why I'm asking him to look in the annual
Yeah.
report, because
It's
the
possible that that's a typo or something.
because the contractual expense for last year, in 2011, was
Code over
15,000.
here. We're in
It's,
one
780.
it's very high, $76,000.
Yeah, well, it's only 15,780 in the workbook, so that's why I don't know whether.
Well,
And it was
well,
actually 76 on your
in
AUD,
the AUD.
and
Yeah.
it was 65,000 the year before. So there is
That's where
definitely.
we copied it from.
We
But
would
see,
have to
one
look
of
at
the
that.
things that we found out today, remember, was that sometimes for some strange reason they combine lines for the AUD, and I don't know why.
Yeah, but they have it all listed out here, 1, 2, and 4. I just think $76,000 is a lot of money in a contractual line.
No, I know. That's why.
I'm not saying it wasn't spent.
We're not saying it's not spent. We would have to look at what it was
No,
spent
but what
on.
happens is sometimes, Ross, for some reason, in the AUD.
It was 76,483. It's right there. Fiscal 1981.
Yes, I understand that. That's what we're saying.
Okay.
That it's in the AUD, but what I
Because
have
it
to.
was, Dave, doesn't mean it was a good expenditure.
It
No,
might
no,
have
no,
been
no,
a
no, no.
one-time purchase
No,
of something
it's not that.
went in.
It's not that it wasn't a good expenditure or anything. What happened is, like today, when Nancy and I were checking certain things, the AUD, like for example, there's something where it was called unallocated
Unclassified revenue, yeah.
unclassified revenue, but it was like $55,000. So Nancy and I were basically $55,000 is a lot for unclassified revenue. So when I went into Patty to say what is this, and she's like looking at it, she went back and looked at the line. She couldn't find the line in her thing that matched it. What she was able to find was that for some reason the host benefit community got folded into some other line, and they were merged into this one line that showed a number that you had to go deep into the system to back
see
out
where it came
to
from.
find
But
out
this-
what that reflects.
Yeah, but you know what? This would be your actual expense because this is what's being reported in off of your general
Okay,
ledger too.
what I have in the
So
way
I'm
of,
thinking
I
that maybe
can-
they purchased something large.
If you take that book off, and in that box is the general
okay,
ledger.
There
Susan,
you go. That's what you want to
Susan,
look at. Because if
when
it's in your
we-
general ledger, it's,
Yeah,
it's, it's an
2011.
accurate
If you
expense.
can look at the 2011 general
Okay.
ledger, but we can.
I have
See, 2012.
justice and parking violations combined. We pulled out, if you'll notice, we pulled out now the codes. So we don't have everything just in one code.
Look at all the stuff that I've been
And
working with.
She has
contractual
what I asked for. She never
was
gave.
reduced to 26,483.
That was our savings.
I don't know.
That's our, I mean, that's our savings.
Yeah.
And the other three were not reduced at all.
Because we
And the other
questioned
wasn't
that.
reduced at all, so I
That's a
don't
very
know.
large expense. So
Yeah.
it's got to be something they either had to purchase and didn't go under the equipment line, or they stockpiled on their tickets or something.
Don't
There
put
should be
it
some
I
way
have
to
the
figure
stuff. We
out
don't
what
need to
it was
waste
spent
all
on.
We
this
can.
stuff. I
Susan
have it
can
here.
pull the itemized report.
right, I
Not
just
tonight,
wanted to
but
go
she'll have
through
to
it.
Patty.
Well, you
print
can
it.
come here and you can borrow and go through it, but you're going to make her print all this again. We're a zero waste
I
community.
just,
Please,
well,
Ira.
okay,
I'll
look,
have to charge you for it.
I'm not,
Okay, I'll have to charge you for it.
I just
It's right
think that
here.
that,
You can come look at it.
All right.
Dave, we spent a lot of time on this, okay? And Nancy and Susan now have reviewed all that the three of us have done. And, I think 4 good minds, well, actually 5 good minds, because Nancy counts twice.
Thanks a lot.
No, she met with you and she met with 5
Oh,
good
okay.
minds. I think that, we ought to accept some of this as
I think what we
being
should
credible.
do is research that.
No,
I
I'll put
think
it
we
back
should
in.
research those expenses.
There's certain things that
Yeah.
and there are certain things like when Nancy and I we did the revenue, we did some of the expenditures, but some of it, we stopped, we asked, some of it we had to go ask questions, some of it we have questions
Right.
of you guys.
Which was
doesn't
good,
mean-
'cause it was stuff we had questions.
You know,
Right.
so it doesn't
We
mean that we
had a lot
shouldn't
of
still do a little bit
questions.
more vetting,
Yeah.
but
No, and
I mean, we're gonna,
my fear is that there may be some typos in this. There's an
Of
awful lot of
Yeah.
numbers
And I
that have
said
been
that,
transferred
Susan.
to
We
this.
were
yeah,
going
because we
pretty
found a
fast.
couple,
Yeah.
and
You were on that computer a long time.
I just-
and that's
I
what
just-
happens. So I mean, we have to just go through this and.
all right,
No,
let's
what-
go on, but okay, but I think that it's,
But I have no problem right now putting $100,000 in for the lawyers for the moment. We could always go back and tighten it up later.
I have a problem with that and
Uh-huh.
I disagree.
Well, because
Oh,
of the
that's
labor
been going
attorney.
back in the.
Because you're
the
putting
42
back in the.
the.
Because you're
the
putting
42
$75,000 in for you're putting $75,000 in for a lawyer to be on retainer.
Mhm.
If you told me you were going to say $50,000 for the lawyer on retainer and $25,000 for
So
the labor
that.
attorney, then I'd say okay. But if you
No, I think we ought to add the labor attorney under police if you think that's necessary.
But if it's not just for police,
It's
we
not
But
can-
it's
just
not
for the
just for
police.
I
police.
It's
thought
not
when
just
you
for
had
police.
said police,
it's
I
mostly
assumed
it's
it was-
I mean we brought the labor attorney in because of the police negotiations and because of the police contract, and we thought we were at a point where we needed we needed somebody who was a labor attorney because of the police contract and whatever. He was brought in for that reason, but he does our Teamsters, he does our UPE, which is whatever. So he does all of our labor work.
Okay, to go back on the laws thing,
Just a minute,
A
Ross.
14204. I feel that the 75 is insufficient and would like to move it to 100,000. Is there a problem with that? Susan, I guess agrees that's.
Well, I don't have a problem. Sally does, but now Ross was going to give his opinion.
No, I was going to ask another question: whether that number includes, or does the town spend much money annually on lawyering for its boards, its planning board and its zoning board of appeals?
Well,
Yes.
no, yeah. Oh, we spend a lot of money, but
Is it
that
all
should
covered by-
that should
all
be
covered by
mostly
developers?
escrow. Yes, that should be
No,
mostly
it's not
escrow.
all covered by developers.
That's the question.
It's not all covered
I
by
said
developers.
most of it is covered by the escrow account, but we do retain some money for the attorneys for things that are a little bit over and above. Like in
So
other words,
that's something in addition to the labor lawyer that's perhaps above a retainer.
But
for
the
a
labor
municipal
lawyer I suggest to you that in the AUD, the labor attorney is not differentiated out
Mhm.
as a labor attorney.
Okay.
but what in the AUD?
But-
How
but
much money
the-
is being shown for? How much money in the
It's-
AUD is showing for?
I assume.
No. But
Yeah.
I'm asking Nancy to take a quick look at the town AUD and just see what they reported for.
We went through and added them all in.
And Susan,
And it's showing $115,000.
You have a lot of different, attorneys in a
Yeah.
lot of different
Actually,
places.
in your A fund for the 2011, you only had 54,000 for law.
Right. And then in the
Okay.
B fund,
All right, okay.
60,000.
No, that's
All right.
because that's misbooked. Because that's misbooked.
And
so,
then in
okay.
the B fund,
Mm-hmm.
they had 60,760.
And that's because of what Susan
That
just
would
said.
be the
That
planning
would
board
have
That
and
would be the
zoning
100.
board.
Okay, that would be the $75,000. Okay, so the 115 is actually all town. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
I apologize. Okay, fine.
So you're okay with us keeping it at 75 for now?
Well, I think it's low. That's all right.
And the answer,
Well-
the answer to my point before is that if you eliminate one planning board and one zoning board of appeals, there is some lawyer savings presumably in that. So.
Oh, sure.
To the
That
developer,
would be
that's
the
for sure.
60,760.
The B
Can I
fund.
find this
Yes,
one?
it's B fund.
But you're still, you're still showing 70,000, over 70,000 savings. Okay. If you make it to $100,000, that's all I'm saying.
You want to put in?
I disagree. If you want to add something somewhere else for a labor attorney fee, that's fine, but not in the general attorneys.
Well, it all
You don't
comes to
have-
the same figure.
You
Well, it
don't
is.
have,
No, because your B fund is where a lot of money was.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm
And
just,
that's planning and zoning.
I thought the village was unionized also, weren't they?
Well, but
Yes, yes.
But we don't have
But the
that.
point is, I
I-
think you
Oh,
think.
I'm just asking because I don't know.
Yeah.
labor attorney presumably would be in the A fund because
think-
police are in the A
I
fund.
know the
Right.
village did things perfectly,
No,
Sally.
no, I'm talking about the town A fund.
No, just let me ask you a question, okay?
Okay.
The village did things perfectly, okay?
Yes, we do.
They
Yes.
spent $59,000.
Yes.
So you're gonna take all the town activity and add just $16,000. Now, is that fair?
Because Ross just said, you're going to have one planning board, you're going to
This is
have
what
one
I-
zoning board. You're not going to need two zoning board attorneys, you're not going to need two planning board attorneys,
Or two municipal attorneys.
or two municipal attorneys.
Plus all the others, yeah, no. I was just asking my question about the union. You don't use
If
the
you think
attorney to do your new union negotiations. I'm just trying to
Yeah, we do.
understand.
We use
Yeah,
our
we
village
do.
attorney.
We use our
So-
regular attorney.
But they don't have a police contract.
Yeah, we
I mean,
don't
they
have
Yeah,
the
see.
same.
You know,
It's a
it's
different
a
concept.
I'm asking, I'm trying
Yeah,
to
we do.
understand
We do.
when she said the village has no cost for a labor attorney.
Very little we have.
Well, that's what I'm trying to
This is
understand.
not
'Cause I
the
thought you had a union. That's what I'm trying to understand. I'm
but
not
the point
getting
is,
involved
Sally,
in this, that, or the other thing. I'm
and
just trying
Ross,
to
I'll go
understand the
back.
process.
Yes, you could say you have one zoning board and you have one planning board, okay? But let's face it, okay? This activity coming before those boards
Will be higher than
will be higher,
than
will be
either
this,
of the
will be
previous- yeah.
equivalent to what the boards handle separately today. Okay, you aren't going to have less developments.
No.
You aren't going to have less requests of changes on variances and so forth. And so, even though those boards are combined into one board, that board in itself will have more work to do. So therefore, rather than having a meeting once a month or twice a month, they're going to have more meetings than that.
I have to actually say, it's not an insult to you, Dave, but I believe in using lawyers and engineers a lot more than you believe in using lawyers and engineers. So the fact that Dave is arguing to put more money in for a lawyer, I think we should take pretty seriously.
But I also think that, hopefully, and who knows what the town will decide, but a tremendous, we discussed earlier, that twice now there have been defenses of a wetlands law. Okay, that is in here. Presumably, that one-time legal expense, you're not going to have these large one-time legal expenses. And I think $75,000 on an off negotiating year is reasonable. If Susan thinks that we ought to contemplate adding some money and pretend it's a negotiating year, okay, that's fine. You don't pay the labor attorney to negotiate unless the contract is up.
No. We have a retainer with him. We pay him every month, like I think $2,500 or something. We have a retainer for the year, and we just, like you call your guy, we call him every time we have a labor issue. We have lots of issues relative to the police that we need his advice on a lot of times.
Every year, we
have had this labor attorney on retainer since probably 1997.
And we still have
Probably
Every year
issues?
it's about $20,000 a year that we whatever. And I can assure you, this guy is called all the time.
Probably for interpretation of
lots of
not
different,
just doing a contract. But
it's not just negotiation, but you have different things with grievances. With the police departments, you have somebody. We have a particular situation now with a police officer that is sort of not on the books for the moment, but it's going through this whole entire. She knows how to play the system, and it's costing a lot of money. It's like 2 years. It's already into like the third year or something.
Into the third year, and that's the third year we're into it. It's been more than that since we had it.
Yeah, so you have issues. When you guys were merged, when we were a merged department,
you have a $20,000 retainer with him
with the labor attorney. So if you feel that if you think 55,000,
if they have that many issues, yeah.
if you think 55,000 is a fair amount for a lawyer on retainer for a municipal government the size of the merged government, and then you say the rest is for the labor attorney, okay. If you think 75 is a fair amount for the municipal attorney,
add 20 in.
then you have to add the 20 in for that.
Right,
You have to do the
20.
labor
Is there
attorney.
anything that we can fix though, so we don't have to keep spending it every year, like with these?
Yeah, get rid of all the
raises
employees.
So
No.
my instruction is to
I
make this
think
95,000 and reduce the savings
again,
by
Like write
20.
the contract
Yeah.
differently or something.
No,
so it's not.
it doesn't. It's regardless of how well it's
That's
written.
what we're going to do.
Let's
When we merge and you guys are working with us on the police department, you'll get to see all the issues that one has to deal with.
Okay, we're adding 20,000.
Yeah, put 20.
And
okay.
subtracting
I'll
20 from
combine with
the
25.
savings.
That
And reduce the
95,000.
savings
all
to
right.
79,519.
Okay,
Reduce your
I've done that.
savings.
Okay.
Now we're back up in court. We're
I'm still
done
trying to
this
find
page.
it. I'm
Turn
still
the page.
I'm just
Don't
trying
worry
to.
about it, Susan. We can look for that.
Yeah.
You can do that another time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can find it.
Yeah.
But I can't.
With a
I'm also
question
used
that we
to-
goes to, with a question that comes back, okay, as an assignment, like to look and see on that court contractual, is there anything?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find.
Okay, well,
Oh.
all right. I don't expect you to be in it.
All right.
Okay, all right. A 14301.
That's personnel.
Personnel.
It's-
Okay, that's personnel town, and we put in 0. What do we put 0 in for? You had a bunch of
I
questions.
think there's a belief that we have a payroll person in the town, but they use a payroll
Paychecks.
services.
We use paychecks.
And we sort of believe, I mean, most likely by the time we do the merger, our payroll person will probably be retiring anyway. And when I looked at it and we talked about it, I had no problem with the concept of going to.
So we'll have to add a cost somewhere else, don't we?
Well, you.
No, we
must have-
actually
We would
No,
just absorb it
we-
into.
that's the
we
village
left it
cost.
in.
It's in.
yeah, but what Dave is asking is, where do you reflect the cost for your paycheck and what line?
It's under the treasurer's line.
Right, so it's in the
Yeah.
treasurer's line, not Dave. So the budget line, that line goes down to zero, but in the treasurer's office, they have,
A bookkeeper that does the payroll.
So
and
my-
it's just a matter of input and payroll. Paychecks does everything else.
the only
Okay,
question is, because of the fact that you'd be more than doubling the size of employees,
We would just have to work out, delegate, and work differently.
okay, so you don't think the contract for paychecks would have to go up per se?
It probably would a little bit, but that would go under our computer expense and stuff, where we have the paychecks expense.
That's the A13251.
I don't think it matters if you have 20 employees or 50
Okay.
employees.
Okay,
18250.
so then we should be okay, Dave.
It
We'll
does,
negote a better price with them.
Yeah,
Or
because
else we'll
we
go to
have,
a different place.
but
Right.
it
Right.
isn't dependent upon how many attorneys, how many employees they have.
It
Probably
does,
is.
but I think it goes from like 1 to 50. We only have 27. You know what I mean? I'm just
Well,
throwing
yeah,
this
but
out,
you're gonna
50
have
to
over 50.
75.
yeah,
You
but
gotta-
she's saying it's not gonna be that
We
much
can negotiate something
incremental.
with
What?
them. We'll work something out at the time.
But we're already projecting a $70,000 reduction in that
And-
line.
Because,
We're taking
59.
away an employee and benefits.
well, in the
You
treasurer's
can't
line,
take benefits out of that line. You can only take an employee.
well, because I think they're thinking about bringing in a director of finance or something. You're restructuring that place,
Yep.
so that would be a different line, I think.
But then
That's justice.
that line itself is going to have to be significantly increased.
Yeah, we say as a future note
Yeah.
for 2014 or 2014 or 2015 that it may grow to 220K. And this number includes a CFO, a treasurer.
Which number is that?
That-
1325.
That's my future note for line
5.
13251, treasurer's office. in
You know
the-
why,
in the village.
if I can just jump in, you know why probably the contractual is so high for the courts is because it's probably the special prosecutors, the contract for the special prosecutor. We have somebody who has to go to court for the when the state took away the state police going to, the state police don't show up to negotiate traffic
Traffic
tickets,
tickets any
speeding
longer.
tickets more
Yeah.
anywhere. And all the, like the county government and the town governments all had to hire like a special prosecutor who negotiates.
So we're paying the state police, and if they don't show up,
No, we don't pay the
No,
state
the
police.
state
They're not
police
allowed to
won't
show
do-
up
won't do the-
anymore.
won't do the
The state
function.
police won't show
It's a
up
special
anymore.
prosecutor who has the authority.
And we, as a municipality, picked up that expense.
We had
Why
no
didn't
choice.
the state pick it up?
Because the state government passed it down to us. The way the state government saved money in their budget was they stopped allowing state police to do this, so it stopped them having to pay overtime for the state police to show up at court to basically deal with.
That seems a little unfair.
It's all
Yeah,
unfair what the state does,
Yeah.
but it doesn't
is.
matter. That's what the state does.
In
and we-
effect, it's an unfunded
I've
mandate.
absolutely, but and they're actually looking right now at doing something else that might potentially look to take away. You know how we were talking about how much court fees we have, you know, like that 250,000 or 400. The state's looking to do something also that would end up reducing our revenue we get from court fees drastically.
By increasing theirs?
Well, about the way they changed how you can write a ticket or this or that, which we'll then just have to learn how to write a ticket differently, you know, kind of thing.
Excuse me,
But anyway, I think that's what it is. It's,
Okay,
I
I
think it's a
think-
special prosecutor.
All right, but what I'm going to say about this is that if state police issue a ticket and they don't show up in court,
They're not
They-
allowed to legally anymore.
Hmm?
They're not allowed to legally anymore. The state.
but what I'm saying is, and someone chooses to protest it, I think that they are just be granted the protest and the hell with the state.
But that's not what happens anymore,
Yeah,
Sally.
look at that here, there.
What happens is they are told, come back for trial, then they call the officer in, and the officer has no authority under the state to negotiate
Right,
it.
it's not
So
costing
it's
us
either,
more money to do it.
so
that
But
it's
way.
we're not given any money to pay
We put the-
for the prosecution in
Anyway,
our court at our expense.
yes. Well, anyway, we can't argue right now the unfairness of state government.
I agree.
And it's just that's what that's the contractual.
Basically, we
thing.
got to put 76,483
Well,
back
just
in.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, we cut it down to 50,
No, well,
so maybe
you're going to have less.
Well, if you think the prosecutors probably, I think around is like is I think around 60. The prosecutor is about 60,000,
About
and the
$60,000.
$16,000 is just contractual stuff of like, you know,
A prosecutor is costing us $60,000.
There's more than one. And that's what it's
Does
costing.
it
'Cause
even
I
pay
went,
to have a
I
have
went
no
through
choice,
when
I
I was
don't
doing
think.
my budget. You know, when I was talking about the prosecutor, and I saw that there are 2 prosecutors. Each one gets somewhere around $3,000 a month.
Well, you know what? We'll do an itemized printout
I mean,
of that line and
and,
we'll put it.
and we can,
Yeah,
and,
let's
and we
do
have it over
that.
there. But even regardless, well, we have it right there. You know, you
When
can
you
look
have
at
time,
general
you
ledger.
can
You
look
can just, it's right there. But
Oh, tell me
I mean,
gotta close
again,
out again.
that's not to say, okay, that as we go through this, that we can't at some point again meet with like the departments, meet with everybody, sort of, you know, say, okay, you know, we want to reassess how. That's okay, yeah. How we reassess how we do things. Do we want to change things or whatever? We don't have to live by things, but you know that was put in place a number of years ago. We had to do it up at the county, if I remember correctly, and
It just seems like it's costing taxpayers more money
yeah, but
to do it that way.
well, maybe not. You have to look
Is
at the revenue we
feeling,
get
though,
in.
that should be rolled over at 76,000? Is that what you're saying?
I'm
Well,
not
I think
saying that.
I'm saying the 76,000 for right now is a real number because you're talking about the special prosecutor and it was about $16,000 in just contractual expenses. Now, one of the things that when we do the buildings, which I'll talk to towards the end of the meeting about a suggestion, since the building subcommittee was never convened, how to move forward on that, which I have a suggestion for our committee of what to do. But when you go through the contractual lines for all of us, and I suspect, Nancy, you do it the same way, a lot of the electrical costs and expenses to run a building are reflected in your contractual costs. So when we decide how we want to move forward on buildings, we might be able to go back and knock down a lot of some of these contractual costs because if we end up with 1 building versus 5 buildings, we're going to start saving that, and we haven't even addressed that. So I think once we talk about buildings, we're going to still want to go back here and even fine tune this more. But for the purposes right now, let's just keep the 76,000 in
So you're
because
moving that back up to
yeah,
76,000.
because that reflects the way we haven't started taking out electricity and gas and all that from any other lines. So for fairness, let's keep that in.
Okay, engineering A 14404. We have now a new figure for the B fund of 55,444 added to what it was previously. We talked about a $40,000 retainer. I realize that some of that cost is going to be, as Susan mentioned, is billed back to others. But do we want to look at that look again at that figure? Because I guess the new figure, the total is something like 220,000.
Again, the town does not have an attorney on retainer.
We're talking about an engineer. Engineer. Are we talking
14.
engineer?
I mean,
4, yeah.
engineer does not have.
And we don't either, so we
No.
want to look at doing something like that.
Yeah, I think the total is 135. Oops.
Yeah, it was.
No.
No?
Yes.
Yeah, the total is 135.
Does it
Yeah.
start with 79,620? Excuse me, Town A fund 79,620.
Yep.
Right. And then
next-
add
and
55,444.
Okay, fine. You're right.
And the
Okay, all
village
right.
amount
Okay,
was
you're
about
right.
Yeah.
Right.
9,500, so-
I mean, I think 40,000 is very low.
But water
I
and
mean-
sewer is not included in that. We break that
Right,
out separately
right,
in
and
its
a
own
lot
fund,
of
and
our-
that's where a lot of our engineering is
Is
water and
in
sewer.
water.
And,
So-
and we do pay a significant amount right now.
Is most of
I'm
that
trying to
is most of that intended to be escrow also covered
Well,
by?
well,
of
let me
it
just look and see if
Some of ours
some of
is.
it.
well, the 55,044 was from the B fund. Yeah. So that is probably not a real. That's not a real number in the
That's
sense
not
of that.
town money. It's
It
developers'
should be
money.
developers' money. I mean, there's
Yeah.
still some of it in there, like for example, myself and the town planning board lawyer and the town engineer and I, like, we might have had a meeting where we talked about where we're going with sewer and water for the town and how we're moving forward. That wouldn't get billed back to
any particular
anything,
developer.
right?
That's a
Exactly,
general
because that's a
discussion.
general concession of how we whatever. But still, it's sort of minor in a sense. Most of the money in the B fund is project specific.
Okay.
So the 55, I feel comfortable. If there was just a little bit of that, like 10, 20,000, the town portion of it, a lot of, we'll see in 2011 how they build. Like right now, of course, all the money we're spending a lot of money on sewer 6, but that's
That would
being
be
put in
built
a
out
due
separately,
2, and it's
yeah.
being billed whatever. I can't tell you in 2011 how they, book kept.
If it's
the-
for sewer, it should be billed out. as sewer.
Right, but
so
I just
it wouldn't
can't-
affect us anyway.
So, but I'm just saying I can't promise you how 2011 was billed.
No.
Yeah.
No, I know. That's
We
true,
did
and it's
not
probably
do
some in
sewer
here.
and water
Right,
because
you know.
that's separate.
No,
No, but I'm
what
just saying
Susan was saying is
No,
that
I
maybe
know what
there's
she-
something
you know,
commingled
I mean,
in.
Yeah.
And they're
No, I
probably-
suspect. I mean, some of that's probably a lot of the wetlands. Also,
Yeah.
I would suspect a lot of it's probably the floodplain. A lot of it's probably the wetlands. A lot.
Millbrook Preserve.
Some of it could be Millbrook Preserve and stuff. So, but I think we average around like 60,000 for engineer services for the town. Not, is pretty much like sort of somewhat of an average that on a regular year. Not when you have like those,
What do you want to take it down? to
I
40?
think 40 is too little, but
I think it ought to be bid out and not just assumed. And a retainer ought to be done, and I don't think 40,000 for general fund engineering is. I mean, this is not planning board, it's not zoning board, it's not water and sewer. It's just general engineering. And 40,000 I think is a reasonable retainer. Because all the specialties are a separate type of billing, and you might want to have retainers there.
Like in the village, it's hardly nothing in the general fund. The bulk of ours is all water and sewer.
right.
General was like
You.
5,000 in 2010 and 1900.
I mean, we have.
Does the village pay or does the developer pay?
No,
if it
in water
if
and
it
sewer.
pertain if it's for us, we pay. If it's something to do with a project, which water and sewer wouldn't really be
Would
in one
never
of
be.
those escrows.
Yeah, I mean, our needs are
But
great.
if it's something with a project for plan zone, yes, I'd bill it right
Then
after
we
the
would
escrow.
bill them.
And you're going to
But
be
we-
doing that too.
But like
so.
in other words, like I mean, so for example, we probably just incurred like a cost of like maybe $5,000 for our engineer on the Resource Recovery Agency on work he was doing, but we're hopefully going to be getting back $125,000 off of the work he did. So it's
like that, we could do a
like
budget modification. You know what I mean? You
But I'm
you
just
could
trying to
work
sort of
around.
say that we might use our engineer for some things. Like, if the contract was interpreted right and it was built correctly for the past 10 years, we might not have needed for that person to go do all this background work to sort of say the town hasn't been billing correctly when it came to the Resource Recovery Agency. And so I authorized, the engineer to go put the stuff together, knowing if he says to me, Susan, the town's probably owed about $120,000. I think it's a good investment for me to have him spend the time, to pull the stuff together, and then we hired for $2,500.
But that's something out of the ordinary, so you could use your
Well,
fallback.
well,
and
hopefully in the
contingent or
future,
something. Yeah.
we'll always just be doing things right.
I think, and hopefully, yeah. I don't know.
But but
And if we put the right people in place and we create
Right.
this new government with the experts that need to be in the positions that they need to be in, and we, put money in for good people, and we get good people, and they do their jobs right, and we manage this government right, then we shouldn't have to have these extraordinary expenses that we're constantly
Exactly.
having to come back and
I agree.
run after because.
know
and
what?
yet
It's
there
hard
and yet
fiscal
there are
times
times
out
when,
there,
when it's worthwhile paying for lawyer engineering time.
Well, that
'cause
absolutely.
it
Exactly.
returns far better than it costs.
thank you. Oh,
If
absolutely.
you have, okay, this, I have in the figures that have developed, I have in many cases, let's go down,
Yep.
down this second page.
Well, but let's make sure other people don't have questions before we move in.
Well, I'm having more. A1404. You're going to leave
Okay.
the 40,000.
Yep.
Elections is 30,000. Records manager. I don't know what that is, but it's $100.
Can I? The 40,000 is combined savings.
No.
That's it.
96,000.
That's
Oh,
the
that's it.
total.
That's going to be that's what you're saying is.
I think it's too low,
What
but
the
that's
line
fine.
item would be, but
if we would combine that would have been the line item for
and
2011.
you were saying it would be more like 62 than 40, I think, or something.
Yeah,
like that.
but I just wanted to say because it says combined savings. Oh no, that's here.
No,
Savings is here.
The white one,
Combined
okay.
is red and savings
Okay.
is the white
Yeah.
column.
Okay.
Okay.
So what did we change that or what?
No.
Well, I don't know. I don't agree with changing.
Well,
I think it should be higher.
Well, why don't we see later on how much they have in? Do you reflect engineering funds in a different line?
Water and sewer, but we didn't do water and sewer here.
We didn't do
Oh,
water.
okay.
But
okay.
that's the bulk of where my
Yeah,
expenses
no,
are in the
I
village,
know.
So I think it should be higher.
Well, Susan's going to change her billing, right? With your escrows, you're going to start
Yeah.
billing it out. So if it's anything pertaining to an escrow account, it's going to be
I
billed
mean,
back
if we made it
the
50, I'd
applicant.
feel more comfortable. I think 40 is low, but
It's,
Okay.
but if,
Everybody has to
I-
agree on it, so.
Yeah, we have to agree on it, but I do have a bit of a problem, you know, when we have spent a lot of time and a lot of thinking and a lot of looking to come up with these figures, and it doesn't matter
But-
if I, you know,
But Sally, in all fairness, you guys spending a lot of time, which we all appreciate, it's a village clerk, treasurer, it's a village board member, and you're making, and a former trustee, and you're making assumptions about a combined town-village
well,
budget. And so now
anybody
if
could have joined us.
we were never invited and we never knew.
That's not true.
All right.
Anyway,
I think
so I'm
hold
just-
it. Well, I realize that some of these suggestions, okay, but the point is this: the committee is going to define on what that is. There's a recommended figure by 2 people, okay? I'm just saying.
3,
that
4 now.
What?
Susan and Nancy reviewed all of these figures.
That's not what I heard.
And if you look at the engineer
She had
thing,
a
I had a
question
question
mark
mark next to it when me and her reviewed it because I said to her today that I felt it was a little too low,
I
and
think
so
it's
I
low
put a
too.
question mark so we could talk about it tonight because I said to her when we reviewed it, I said I didn't feel comfortable last time when we talked about it, you know, and I still sort of feel somewhat uncomfortable, so that's why there's a question mark.
The real problem I see, Susan, is that so much of your engineering costs weren't put where they, not you, past
Town-
boards have
town's
not
costs.
put their engineering costs where they properly belong. And you'll agree with that.
I agree with that, but I'm just saying from my time in this position, past and now, we have. I mean, again, the town's needs are different than the village needs on a lot of levels because we have open space, we have infrastructure, we have whatever different things that you guys don't have.
Well,
so
we
we
have
do more.
infrastructure.
No, I understand that, but I mean, you have different. Your infrastructure is built in a way, so we're looking constantly of how to improve our infrastructure, how to get water, how to get sewer, how to get whatever. You want to keep it for 40? Let's keep going. We can always
Just
make some changes
change
later.
it to 50 and we'll find 10,000 somewhere else.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
All right.
Okay, let's move down the rest of these. We want to consider any changes on these things?
How
I
about
have-
building personnel?
yeah.
Was that one that we
Yes,
did?
we had needs to be
that's
reviewed.
a large
Yeah.
number.
That's a
so-
large
Now
number.
this is something that Nancy and I talked about, and so it goes with a lot of these numbers. What Nancy and I suggested, because when you look at all the DPW stuff that the village has, and you look at our highway and buildings and grounds, it's sort of very, very complicated. And I had a long talk with Chris today. Nancy and I had a long talk about this, and what we believe is probably the best way to approach it is for myself and Nancy and whoever else wants to join to meet with Blue and Chris and say to the two of them, if we really had one government, how would you guys really see everything being structured and get their input? Or we can invite them both to the next meeting next Monday. But I think actually,
Your
knowing
ideas.
their personalities, it might be better for us to meet and whatever. Now, when I talked with Chris today, like Chris was saying, and I happen to agree, and Nancy and I talked about that, the town highway, you guys spend more time doing your water and sewer and doing buildings and grounds than you really do plowing roads or maintaining your roads or paving your roads or all that. Our highway guys spend most of their time they spend all their time out on the roads and stuff. So like, for example, if we took over our highway department took over all of the highway in the village, Chris said he probably could do that maybe just one more person. Okay, well, we have somebody in buildings and grounds who's got highway experience, who's going to be filling in. If your guys did most of the building and grounds, and of course, once we figure out what kind of building we have, and then, the sewer and water, they, do all the sewer and water and stuff, could we not possibly be cutting some,
By
hopefully
focusing
through
on
attrition.
on the strengths of the
Right.
two departments.
Right,
and
exactly.
so
You've
forth.
got the strengths of the department, so you put them together. You take your highway, your DPW, you let their strengths, and then we've got our building and grounds department, and you sort of figure out maybe through attrition. We don't need to replace people or whatever. So we believe that there's ways to reduce personnel.
go down a lot
Okay,
more.
we believe we
lot
can reduce
more.
personnel a lot more here. But what we should do is be working with Blue and Chris to say to
agree.
them
Have
what
their
you
input.
really believe would be a manageable combined.
Which we said.
Yeah,
You know,
we talked
we
so
about
so
it.
so instead of spending time, because like when Nancy and I looked today at the 200,000, and we started to like whatever, we realized once we started to get into that, for us to start taking that on now is so insane when you start to go through all the other lines. So basically, our sense was that with
They could do it
buildings
very
and grounds,
easily.
central garage, all the lines that like traffic control, highway, snow plowing, like not for us to
You
even.
need to speak to them. And,
We shouldn't even really, get into that
Get
right
their
now,
opinion.
and we should meet with them, and
Well,
we believe
I
that we
think
can see
it's
substantial
not even
savings.
Their opinion. They could honestly
Right.
tell us,
Right. Right.
this, and you could save this
That's
much
right.
And
money, and you
that's
do
what we're
this.
talking
And that's what we
Yeah.
both said, and then I had a long conversation
And
with
then
Chris
you could break
afterwards.
that back to the individual
And then we could bring
lines
it-
once-
right,
once you know
exactly.
what the-
I
Right,
think
exactly.
it's enough
I
And
think
so-
it's really
savings to them.
important. Okay, I think it's really important, and I'm looking at the report of the Human Resources Committee. Okay, and I'm not sure that they took into consideration in their recommended reductions how much of the time the village personnel spend on water and sewer. Okay.
Susan and I were talking about that. We touched on it today because I had said how could.
Susan's probably seen the report, and that's the only. It seems a little high in
But,
relationship.
Yeah, I
but
didn't
some
see
of
the whole
us have
report,
not
so-
seen the
Yeah,
report,
didn't
and
see
I
the
think
report.
to be discussing it isn't.
No, we were
We're not
just
discussing.
generally speaking.
We're not.
'cause
We didn't discuss the
I
report.
was just saying to Susan, which I had said to you and Ross. How can a committee make a recommendation if they haven't really been to those departments and met with those people to
Right.
see
Right,
actually
right.
what's
we
being
we
done?
all agreed
Right,
on that.
right. And that's what we talked about
that's what
today.
Susan- I
We
was talking
agreed
about as we
also-
were going through the lines.
We agreed today as we're going through the lines that you can't, without talking to the department heads and getting a little bit of a sense. Like again, really in fairness with the building, like when you take our two building departments, I mean, honestly, you don't think Kathy and Stacy don't know what needs to be done in order to merge a building department and what the needs are of the community. I can make a decision what I think. You can make a decision what you think, but at the end of the day, you really owe it to talk to them to sort of say, okay, are our assumptions right?
Well, at least get the feel of what's
And,
going on.
and then
there
then you have to
stuff,
make a
yeah.
decision if they're just protecting jobs,
Well, okay.
or
Right,
or they're
exactly.
giving you,
But they
honest
should.
information, right?
Right.
So I think we should do that. But when I talked to Chris today again, Chris said, I mean, he actually said that he really believes that Blue manages the needs of the village with sewer and water and the buildings and grounds with a very small staff. And he said what they do and what they accomplish is quite remarkable.
Yes, it is.
So he doesn't believe,
But we also outsource for environmental consultants for the bulk of them.
right, which we now just brought environmental consultants in for
we
us.
pay a
So
lot
of
of
course,
money for that.
yeah. And so, and then hopefully when we combine, we could actually get rid of our contracts because we'll hopefully be more efficient with,
It'll
whatever.
probably
But
equal itself
like there
out.
were some things today, like when we have the conversation, like there was a situation that arose today where, because our municipal worker one,
This
in
is
it-
a really good savings that
the-
she was talking
the
about.
in municipal worker one, our municipal worker one definition by contract, they actually can clean. They can clean. So our municipal worker one cleans.
You
in
mean
addition
like
to-
clean
He
the
was
building?
actually in
Like,
cleaning
actually,
her office, and
he
I'm
was-
like, oh wow, that's a great savings for us.
Yeah. So
Yes.
she saw him
Yeah.
cleaning it, and I said, well, I explained that, we got rid of the custodial position because municipal worker one can clean, and we want, we need to start streamlining and saving money and stuff. And so Nancy was saying, I mean, your municipal worker one can clean. We outsource. We hire somebody to come in and clean. And so Nancy was commenting that you could see a savings in the village budget because, once we start to merge the
Yeah, but
personnel
it
and
might
the
be cheaper
contracts.
to have the cleaning service
Well,
out because
okay.
you're not paying
Right.
benefits.
All
No,
right,
he does.
Right.
let's take that
It's
off
part
the
of-
table for discussion tonight. Do you have?
Oh, no.
that
We're
meeting?
just
No,
saying,
no.
we're just
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
that
yeah.
conversation
I
has
know
that.
savings.
So in other words, if we sit with Blue and Chris, that's the kind of thing we would talk
Okay.
about. Where Blue and
Right.
Chris might say it's either better to go out, to a service, or they might say we have enough staff right now that we want to do, cleaning in, and we're already paying our custodial person to also mow and to do this and to do that,
Right.
and so and
There
whatever.
you go.
Exactly,
Well, that's what her-
which is
Yeah.
what we're doing.
That's what-
which we did. We
that's-
just transitioned to that.
And
Okay.
that would be a smart move.
Yes.
And that's
Well,
what
we-
she's done.
Okay,
I already
so
did it.
that's the question of buildings, personnel, buildings contractual. We'll skip that discussion
Right.
now. Okay, central garage, and I think that's part of the
Right,
same
exactly,
discussion.
absolutely.
okay?
Same complex.
Absolutely.
The central printing type of situation. Is there any?
The thing with central printing, you're showing guys to say you
Recommended 20,000.
Okay.
Is that reasonable?
I recommended, yeah, 20,000.
I think it
Yes.
is. I think once you're
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
government,
Should be
Yeah.
somewhat
I
less
do.
printing.
I think it's reasonable.
Okay. All right. Data processing.
Mhm.
50,000.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't have
because
a
you're only
problem
going
with
to be
that.
on one system paying for all
Yeah.
the stuff.
Yeah,
and
I
One
think
stuff.
that's
website and all that.
Easily updated
Unallocated
and everything
assurance, they're leaving it the same. That, in fact, okay, and we really have to wait till we get some facilities input on that. Because there might be a reduction if
I
you'd
agree.
had less
Fewer
facilities.
spaces and fewer buildings will have less insurance.
Yeah.
Should I throw out my recommendation now since we're on buildings?
Yeah.
Because the building committee subcommittee was never convened. When I asked Councilman Logan at the last meeting if he had convened his committee and he had said no, I said, well, I guess the finance committee will take it on. What I would like to possibly
Is he going to convene it?
what I'd like to make as a suggestion
Okay.
is that the people who volunteered to work on that committee, that we invite them to next Monday's meeting, next Monday's meeting to talk to them about their thoughts. I mean, honestly, if Carol's healthy enough, Carol's done so much, has so much background on all the facilities in our
And
in the
Floyd
town,
Niffen.
and Floyd and them. So if we brought them in and sort of said, "What are your thoughts?" and tried to get their thoughts, and then we just start to then come to a
I
sort of
think that's an excellent idea.
I do
so
too.
so come to a conclusion with them. So let's not like totally like say we don't want to hear what you have to say. We convene them for a reason. Bring them in. Let's sort of spend some time on that,
Let's,
and
let's
then
talk about the. All right, let's bring them into the meeting. You
There
know
was
that's
someone
with
else
me.
on our
Right.
list,
And we'll
Susan.
make that
I
the
don't have
major
it.
agenda item
for next
Monday's
Monday,
meeting.
and then
okay?
this way, after we come to a conclusion about that, then we could go back and tweak these numbers based on
That's a
you
good
know
idea.
based on what we sort of
With
our
the-
recommend.
with
the
the
input
input of the
from-
people who might have been.
That's
if
exactly
they
right.
had.
That's
I
right.
believe
Yeah, that sounds
there's
right.
somebody else on that committee that, and I don't have my list
think,
with me.
I
I'll
don't think
look.
it's-
I'll look.
Okay.
And I'll email you.
Okay. Well, why don't you do this instead of emailing me? If you could email the committee members and invite them to join us.
And the
next-
meeting will be here.
Yeah, if you can invite them to join us next Monday.
Again, it's going to be here again.
I'll see. Hopefully,
Yeah,
if we can
well,
get the other room
village
filled.
rooms are all filled every night.
I'll check to see if the
Okay.
town is filled. If the town downstairs is filled, and if not, we'll just make it work in here.
Okay.
Okay.
Or you can go down to the community center. That's
Oh,
what
that's
I've been
true.
doing. That's
Oh,
what I've
that's
been
true.
doing with all my meetings because this is booked up.
It's what?
I go down to the
And
community
my-
center because
I invited the
There should be a
convener.
conference room there that's available.
it's free.
It's you.
Free.
Well, that's as small as this, so. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
The conference room is pretty tight down there, yeah.
People, am I inviting the convener who didn't convene?
Certainly.
Okay.
Did you make a note about the cleaning?
Yes.
Okay.
Here at 7?
Municipal worker one and then.
Say 7
That's a
o'clock,
great
and then we'll
idea.
figure out. Right now, it's tentatively in my office, but I'll see if downstairs is available.
I'll
and
tell
if,
them your office unless
Otherwise,
they are
right,
notified.
Right. Okay,
Yeah, these numbers will be
Right.
much easier to define
I agree.
once we know what spaces we're working
That's
with.
right.
And
As the person we did down this,
You know-
and I don't know the reason the comment coming down here, is the question of, well, number one, association dues.
Dave,
I don't.
before you get off of unallocated insurance, can I stay on that for 1 minute? I think not only just I want to ask a question. Not only from a building perspective will that affect our insurance, but I don't know if any committee is actually looking at vehicles. I don't know if we
Yeah,
ever
that's that committee.
Is that the
They're
same
supposed
committee?
to be doing all
There should be a
inventory.
buildings
from all that.
and building vehicles and
Yeah,
stuff.
buildings,
Because obvious-
equipment.
Okay, we'll have to go back and just double check and stuff.
Oh,
but-
that's in their mission
Okay,
statement.
so as long as because ultimately it's the same thing. Once we combine, when it comes to equipment, we might be able to sell certain equipment off because once we might not need the
But that's
duplication.
also a good question to ask Chris and Blue when
Right,
we meet.
exactly. Yeah. So make that more
which of the equipment
right
might be
because
not
because
needed.
that's going to make having a big impact on your insurance too. Because if you have less insurance and less vehicles to insure, there's going to be a reduction.
So there was our
let's
10,000
make
that
it-
we're
It-
looking
absolutely.
for.
I think you could right now.
Easily.
I think you right now reduce it right now and know that you're okay.
Okay, that'll pick up one of our losses.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
which
so
line-
they're making
which
they're
line-
making
Which one?
What money
they're
are
making
they?
Unallocated insurance?
unallocated insurance. They're making
Now, association
149.
dues. Don't we have to have the same figure? I mean, we got the town and the village both have to be together, and you have to keep.
You only need one building inspector association dues.
Well, plus that's for NICOM and the Association of Towns. So we just went in at 4,500.
Okay, so there is a commit. There are things that we don't no longer have to be part of.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. That's what I didn't think possible.
Okay,
Okay.
So we're
now
taking
before you
10,000
go
off?
on, I've got to make my note.
Where?
I'm reducing
Where now?
the
159 to
savings.
149.
So the
Reducing it by
savings on
10,000.
I didn't hear anybody say
unallocated,
that.
Susan
Yeah,
and Nancy are
Susan.
suggesting
I wouldn't say that.
169
I just follow.
209,
So
but it's a
148
savings
instead
of
of
10,000.
158?
149 209 we're putting in for now, and we'll and we'll
What's this on the insurance?
yeah
Was 149?
we're going to make it
Yeah.
149 209 because we believe that there will
So
be a
we're gonna
savings.
say-
So we're saving 10,000.
We're showing just for
Probably
now.
10,000.
more. You're probably
Yeah.
right.
And they'll end up being more. I believe there'll be much
Oh,
more,
I'm
but
sure it
let's
is.
let's
That's the
do that for now.
conservative number.
I think that's very conservative.
Okay.
Okay. Why did we increase the general government?
It's public access.
What?
It's
Public
public
access.
access. And we both share.
Okay, good.
And particularly in the transition to a new government, it'd be useful to have more information.
Police.
Well, wait a second. Actually, let's go back to that number because you're not showing what it would have cost to tape the meetings for consolidation stuff, and if this was sort of the cost for the town, to cover the town board meetings and the planning board meetings and the police commission meetings, and this is what it costs to cover the village meetings
Right.
and planning board. I would suspect that you would see a savings
Because of fewer meetings.
because you're not you're only having
Fewer
one
boards.
you only have one government meet you only have one municipal board that's meeting instead of the town the village's meeting
And
two
only
times a
one
week.
ZBA and
Right,
only one
exactly
planning
right.
board.
So I would
But you
think
may
that
have more of those meetings.
But you have more.
Yeah,
yeah,
but you're not gonna have
workload.
more of the government meeting.
No.
You're still gonna only have one.
But you might want to in the very beginning.
But this is reflecting this is
11.
reflecting. This
Yeah,
is not the
yeah.
this is not the budget of.
Yeah.
Consider
Yep,
that
yep,
11
yep.
too.
So
You're
I
right.
think
Okay,
you.
so where are we?
I would
on
take
that?
the combined
819894.
Yeah,
well,
I know that.
general government, which was
But what are
what's
you
the,
suggesting?
the combined number was
30.
no
The
the one
original-
no the
24,850.
the 24,850.
Yep.
I would
We raised it
I would
to
keep
30,000, but maybe you shouldn't.
and this is you took them together and then cut it in half.
No, took them together and
Add a little
I think
more.
24. I think
and a little
24,850
more
is
than
okay
half.
because you have what 22,660 is the town aid fund.
So
and we
leave
have
it
a-
at
it's town
24,850 and
Yes.
show it as a zero.
That's what I
Okay.
think so.
so we'll carry it over.
24,850.
Yeah.
24,850
And
carry
zero
over.
savings.
Right. Exactly.
Got
And get rid of the minus.
Right.
So subtract.
Now the police,
So
you
now you're
want
plus
we would
5.
add.
Now
you
you're
want to
plus-
suspend the discussion
Sally?
about the police
Sally,
until you
now
have
you're,
it.
you're plus 5 now.
You want it until you
We're getting
have
there,
a better
Susan.
feeling as to what all the figures that should be in there that aren't in there.
But right now, for the purposes, these figures are probably what should be there. We talked about the labor lawyer, and we dealt with that in the lawyer thing. So
The
these,
question of what about the question about the question of building?
well, right
rental
now,
and so
That's
forth.
in.
Yeah, we took that in.
did you put that into here?
Sally, why did we
Okay.
raise police? We raised police because we put something else in there.
No, we didn't raise police.
We did. They spent 2,709,000, and we're
Right.
booking.
But
we're,
the 2012 budget
We're
only
actually-
shows one.
No, it says 120,000 more.
2.13 million.
Yeah, remember your expenses were over in the buildings and grounds, and you were going to move them over here. We talked about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so that's
That's
so
what we did.
that's
So you
what
moved
that is
over.
from.
So you
Yeah.
moved over the
Yeah.
cost of the
okay.
rental, and you moved over the cost of
Electricity or something.
because that's a lot.
What?
But my
The
question,
120 because it's
Susan,
only
is
65,000 for the rent.
Susan.
And
This is before you had resignation. You had a police officer that was not replaced.
Retiring.
Oh,
Yeah, now
We
it's-
need to take that out. We didn't take it out because
This
I
was
wasn't
just the
sure.
120 that we spoke about at 2 meetings ago.
that
I
that
forgot what
we
it was about.
I have it on my notes in my other book.
I can
And-
tell you.
No. But Susan was going to tell us how much, in fact, by that one police officer leaving,
Right.
we were going to save. And
Well-
we did not have that figure, that's why we
I think-
left it. We added the police rental building, rental
And
in.
what else
And
was it?
something
The
else.
electric?
Well, you probably have
And
to
we
look
added
up-
electric, we
Electric,
added we added what we thought was the building and its maintenance, Susan, the
But that's
rent,
true. But if you pull
and the
27
taxes.
But if you pull it out,
Well, taxes
you know,
right now.
suppose let's say you pull out the lieutenant, okay, the cost of the lieutenant.
That hasn't been resolved.
Well, let's say you're gonna pull that out, okay, and you say, well, we'll pull this out, and therefore we'll lower this. Well, then also you got to kind of lower.
We haven't
Well,
Well, I
we
would-
haven't done
no, because
anything in
this is the
police
actual-
personnel
Yeah, you
yet.
shouldn't do
The
that.
reason that figure is higher is because we pulled out the
I understand
100,000
perfectly.
You,
I
but you pulled it
understand
from
perfectly.
buildings and
Yeah,
grounds.
we
from
took-
buildings
yes,
and
okay.
grounds,
Okay.
and we put some
That's it.
extra
That
in
was it.
for utilities and all the oil and
But you,
gas.
but you pulled it. If you
We
pulled
did.
out the 120 from buildings
We
and
did.
grounds, the exact number you pulled out.
I think so,
believe
yes.
Okay, as long as you pulled it out from where it was reflected
It's
before.
it's been moved, not
But-
eliminated.
Right. Okay.
What we
that's fine.
didn't do in this line
You
was
shouldn't.
to do anything with personnel.
You shouldn't
No.
because right now this is what you're showing reflecting what the police cost in 2011. If we should modify, and so if we again, if you remember this budget that we're looking at right now, is in 2011 if we combined what it
Yes.
would have cost to run the combined government, that police cost would have been
yeah,
that police
right
cost.
Yes.
If we make changes to the police moving forward and their savings, when we reflect what our budget is going forward, then that's when we can
But
take
there's
those
none of
savings.
We gotta be sure
Right,
we're talking
exactly.
apples to apples,
Right,
and
exactly.
pears to pears.
Right,
no,
exactly.
no, just a second. The reason that we wanted,
No, that's okay. We're not arguing about the 120, Sally.
okay,
Yeah, no, we
Well,
got that.
we're-
It's-
we're-
it's
It
makes perfect
reflected.
We're just not touching the personnel because right now this is a cost of 2011.
and that figure is quite a bit over for what you are proposing in your tentative
The
budget.
2.7 in terms of
The 2,829 is way over.
But
by-
this is what it would have been.
But it's-
no. But
2011.
it's a 2.89. The 2.829 is because you added in the 120,000
Right.
for.
And that's a perfectly fair number. That's rolling the other over.
No, but the question is what's more important for Sally to look at is the 2.709 versus
Right.
what are we putting in for personnel this year?
Less.
No,
Is what? It's less.
Less, I
you're,
think.
what you're
Yes.
putting, the total police budget,
No, I just want you to look at personal services.
The 01 branch.
The 01.
of that.
What's the number?
1772.
Oh, you
One
can't-
million seven hundred and
you can't look
seventy-two
because you can't
thousand.
look because this is combined with contractual and with
It is 300
dispatch,
roughly $320,000 in contractual.
You know what? But
See,
we
yeah,
did
it's
have
okay.
a
It's
question
384,000 contractual.
That's
Yeah.
about. I didn't have the figure.
So,
I knew it was
but what my
Yeah.
point is that the proposed 2013 police budget, the total is 2,219,640, and I think we can wipe out the minus and leave the 2,709,919 and just roll it over.
Can I look at that for 1 second,
Sure.
Sally?
That was something that we were looking at. Remember the actual
'Cause I wanna see
versus what was
something.
actually budgeted? It was like
Yeah.
900,000 off or something.
More budgeted than spent.
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Because
Well, yeah, but I'm just
you
looking at what she's proposing, and I'm going to accept that.
we're look. I just want to see one thing.
Yeah, but remember we questioned that's like $900,000.
From,
Between what was budgeted last
Which
year
is
and
just
what
a
was
And
fact.
spent.
actual
But-
spent in 11.
That doesn't sound. That doesn't
No.
sound.
But you have to calculate. That's only 3/4. You have to divide that 118 by 3 and add it in, and you come up to 2,000,005
So
or something.
it may not be 2.7, but it's closer to 2.7 than 1.8.
No, but what I'm saying is
well, no,
that
actually,
both figures are lower than what
No.
we are proposing.
well, no.
Yeah.
Well,
Let me
that's
just.
because we're adding.
Okay, I mean, just in police personal services in 2012, what was adopted in 2012 was 1.8 million, 1,832,326, 1.8 million. In my 2013 tentative budget, it's 1.772. So you're actually seeing in personal services, and we have the lieutenant, we have everybody, the staff exactly. Staff has not changed in the slightest. But again, this is my recommendation, not necessarily what the board is going to ultimately accept, okay? But just by keeping the staffing exactly as it is and not making any changes, we go from 1.8 million, 1.1832326 down to 1,772,095, and the staffing is exactly the same.
But my
Pretty
point,
good, huh?
very good, Susan. But my point is, we didn't know that
Right,
when we were doing the saving part or the to add on part.
right.
And what I'm suggesting is that we just roll the 2,709,919 and we'll be fine.
I think so too.
Okay.
But there wasn't a significant difference. What was actually budgeted.
I
and
don't
what was
understand why.
spent. It was a
Ira,
big
can you
amount of
explain
money.
why there's so much difference between 2011 and 2012? And
Well,
Well, yeah, one of the reasons is we've had attrition. Which we had-
No, they're talking about 2011 to 2012,
said-
not 2012 to 2013.
no,
You're
we're talking
saying-
about the
you're
actual
saying-
money spent and actual budget.
You're showing what you're saying
what
what
they
they
actually spent.
in 2011 the planned
Yeah, he's
budget.
gonna he's
no, I just
actually
want to make sure
gonna-
he's answering the right.
I think
'cause
he is.
No, with attrition, he's gonna. I know what he. Okay, the 2011 planned budget versus 2011 annual report reflects $900,000 less.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was. I don't have it right in front of me, but it was a large
2011.
sum of money. Remember we looked at it?
2011, let's see where I have my
We were actually saying the chief must be doing a great job over there saving money.
Yes, you did say that.
Yes, you-
We've had a number of resignations, okay, for which we did not fill the position, or we did not fill the position immediately. So when you're talking in terms of, let's say, $50,000-$60,000 per person, it becomes a fair amount of money. Also, as I found out the other day, we are getting the benefit of the 207C, which I was under the impression up until the other day that we weren't.
what's
So
the 207C?
When somebody
workers'
goes out.
comp, we've had one person out on workers' comp for almost 4 years.
Okay.
That's
So-
being reimbursed.
so
you're
they're-
saying?
We're getting that money back.
It's
being
reimbursed, and
charged.
she puts it into the
It's been
police
tr-
expense.
has to go into the police budget because it has to be paid, but we're getting back. And what I found out the other day when I asked the question is it is going into the personnel
Thank
line.
God, so I didn't have to listen to him.
So
bitch.
we're actually not spending as much money as it looks like we are because of state reimbursement.
Well, because of that and other
Other things,
areas,
yeah.
we're not. You know, this is the one of the few reimbursements that I found out that actually goes against the police line. The others go against an income
Mhm.
line.
Yeah.
So this was expended
It was
in
expended.
2011, but we're getting the money back
But
in
we
2012.
get the money back, and what happens is there's a time lapse.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
You know, I mean, we don't pay it. We pay it out, and then we'll get it back in a lump sum.
But what I'm suggesting,
Now,
So our police department costs a little less than we thought it did
yeah,
because money comes back.
No,
well,
no,
we don't wanna go
Well,
into
no,
that-
because
that's-
when you do the police budget, you're not expecting somebody to go out getting hurt and workers.
No.
So they're not. So the budget doesn't reflect.
Right.
Somebody-
doesn't reflect
right.
somebody getting hurt,
Right.
and then
It
the revenue
reflects-
coming in. It just. But what I didn't understand was when somebody does get hurt and goes out, and they're paying out of the police
I thought it
expenditure
wasn't coming
line.
into my line. I thought it was going into
General fund or
general
Right.
funds or something
I'm
like that.
confused. So where are you getting the money back from? Because the money gets paid directly to the employee that's out on workman's comp.
No, we pay the money
Oh,
up
you're-
to a
the
point,
police
and then we get a
department's paying- is
reimbursement.
that-
We pay salary. We write a check for salary, and then we get reimbursed.
Right.
See, we don't do
Okay.
it like
Up
that.
to a point.
But I think that's
and
'cause
then
it's police-
also
again,
there's the
but
Police
we're
are
getting
very
bogged
different.
down here.
Yes.
No, yeah,
What
that's
I'm
just answering your
suggesting
question.
is
But that does answer my question. That's really
On police,
good
Sally?
point.
that we're going to roll the
Yes.
2,709,919 into the merged budget.
Instead of saying the combined would have been 120 more than that.
Right,
Okay,
and
so-
we're the 120 is gone.
Yeah, I've already,
Thank you, Susan. You
I've
just
al-
redeemed, you just recouped all your losses.
more than recouped our losses.
That's good.
Is that good, Susan?
I'm just trying to. I want to look at.
I mean,
Just-
and we added the.
Okay,
I think
so-
you
so
already
so-
did, but we made sure that we didn't want to cut it short on this one because
Okay. What
So I think what you're,
Too important.
if I can just understand in a way, what you're trying to, in some ways, reflect right now, is sort of like the fact that we're reducing the expense of the police department because of And so you're sort of reflecting that in your,
No, I'm just going to leave it the way it is.
okay.
But we don't have to increase it by the
We don't have to
120
increase
it.
because
But
of the savings you've done.
But again, it sort of goes back to you're trying to show what the real cost would have been in the budget. Like in other words, the cost of the police was the cost of the police in 2011, whether we merged or not, because we paid for the police.
Right.
So that cost isn't going to change, okay?
Mhm.
And then what you did was you just increased it because you took the cost of the police department
moved it.
that we budgeted someplace else,
I moved it
and you
over.
moved it over here. So that's just bookkeeping. It doesn't matter. That's going to show up anyway, okay? I somewhat believe you probably, if you're doing something real, you need to keep that number the way it is now. But again, like I said, when we go back and start to project what the budget would be, right now we're showing status quo, the two budgets, okay, and if we merge, what it would cost, okay. So
And
I
that's
would
what
leave
this
it the way it is.
that's
because
what this
we moved-
figure
Right, exactly.
reflects.
But as-
this reflects actual expenditure,
Right.
not budget.
right,
Okay,
exactly.
so-
as we move
I would
forward,
leave it to 28, 29 because we took that 120 and moved
Someplace
it over.
else.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay.
yeah,
Got it.
We did. It's just a wash. So
because you
But
moved
as-
it.
because your AUD is actually reflecting
But
2709.
Sally, when we go,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm
But we
leave.
took the 100,000. We moved it out of buildings and put it into
Right.
place where it belongs.
So then it should be
I would leave it at 28,
2
29.
7.
No, I would leave it at 28, 29.
You would.
Yes,
Okay.
because
So
you want
leave
to show
it-
your books.
So
But-
leave it
but
at 28,
going
29.
Going
but
forward, you'll be
when we
saving.
sit down after we do the combined budget, okay,
The
then we should
projected out
then we should
budget.
look at the combined budget and say,
Yes.
okay, now based on what we know our government going forward is going to look like, you can start to reflect some of those savings in there.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
I mean, because we might
31702. What's that? Other corrective correction?
other correction.
Other correction agencies. That's when we went through this. That's a town expenditure only.
Right.
Yeah, I have questions about that.
Yeah, we have
I
question
wasn't
marks
sure
next
what that
to it.
was.
Yeah.
You and I didn't.
Don't,
Get
let's,
to-
I
did we
agree.
not get to that
Let,
one?
let's just put it 0. That's not exorbitant the police.
So it's a savings of
Which we
12,135.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
we
what,
did.
is
we
it,
did,
what,
yeah.
what is it for?
It's an
I mean,
expenditure.
before we cut it out, I mean, I would, it's not on my sheet, so I don't know. But
Can
what
you
is
give
that?
me my budget book?
Do we ever hire other police departments to do
What
something
you know? What
for
I
us?
suspect that what it might be.
That in the traffic guard, is it?
No. What I suspect though, no,
Not in
but
2011.
no, but probably what
This
it
one?
is, it might be a contract with the school district to, they hire the police to go to a bunch of
Football games.
and all that kind of stuff. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
we just
suspect.
spoke about
And
that.
then
That's
we
probably
and
that,
then we
right?
pay them for it.
No. What
No,
happens?
they
The school
pay
pays us.
But this,
But
not,
this
re-
is
it's not a
we're
revenue
an
item, this is an
expenditure and
expense
there's
item.
Yeah,
no
but when
revenue
there's no
to
revenue
reflect
to
it.
reflect it to that.
But there should be a revenue.
There's
line,
no revenue
like
line.
with my.
There isn't.
Well, I'm just saying that it's supposed only because it's similar to my
In order to
Well, that's
get-
if that's what it is. I might be wrong. Let me just
DWI
think.
program.
She's going to look and see
Yeah.
what it is.
Okay,
The
3-1.
code is A31702.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if there was a revenue. That's all, and there's not.
O2 would typically be an equipment or something.
Yeah, it would.
Do we?
Well, maybe it's just the way that it's book kept.
Yeah,
It's
man.
actually contractual was 10,515 and the equipment line was 1620. We combined it because we didn't know what it was.
Right.
We were
We
going to
put
get
them
rid of it
together.
anyway.
And there's no village expense comparable.
No,
Of course not.
we don't have
no
the police.
Something else?
No, I just have it upside down because and see the head's written there too. So I got confused for a second.
By the way, Sally, there are 7 members on that committee. On the
Seven.
facilities committee.
Oh,
there's
you
7
looked?
members. Yeah, I looked it up. You gave me that sheet.
Yeah, who is it?
Oh.
So I can email
This
them.
room will be crowded.
Floyd, Jeff,
Jeff Logan, Floyd Niffen,
Mm-hmm.
Lou Terwilliger, Bob Leghorn, well, probably he's not around.
Blue,
Lou,
Chris.
right. Nick Cottington,
That's a blues assistant.
Chris Marks, and Carol Roper.
Okay, just a minute, make sure. Floyd, Jeff, Carol, Blue, Nick, Chris. And who else? I'm missing
1,
one.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You should have 6.
I have 6.
Yeah, how many?
I
Bob
have.
Leghorn, but he's gone.
Bob Leghorn, but he's not here anymore.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so Bob's gone.
I actually asked Blue if he ever met on his committee. He said no, he never heard anything.
Well, nobody
Yeah.
has. Is there somebody
But
that
you-
Chris would like to bring?
I was going to ask if Bob Leghorn is going to be, you should get
No.
somebody of similar experience.
No,
I
no,
mean,
it's fine.
Okay.
We're okay.
all right.
Oh, I'll tell Chris if he'd like to bring someone.
Sure. Yeah, but no, I mean, based on what we're going to discuss with buildings, Chris doesn't need anybody to come. Chris has been going around to every building that we as a town owe, and he's been going around to every building and getting acquainted with all the buildings. And
Have we found
like you
out
said,
what
the Justice
corrections
Court is the most depressing building he's ever been in, and he doesn't know how they go to work. I can't
I
find
have
that
no
line.
idea what that is.
The 31720.
Yeah, I,
I
have
can't
never.
find. I can't.
There's
I say
12,135.
Just
What?
take it out like we did.
Let's scratch it out. I agree to scratch it out.
It's in. Is it the annual report?
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't know what it is in your next budget next year.
So it's
I-
a 0. It's,
Give me.
We're
give
not
me, give me my.
scratching.
Give me my budget.
We're saying the combined would be 0. The red line. The
we're
red box
saying
would
the
be 0.
savings would be
12,
0.
No, the savings would be 12,135.
12,135,
Yep.
and we scratched it out.
Yep.
Yep.
And the future, no,
Yep.
no use of that line in the future.
Yeah, we don't know that.
Well, we're not sure. That's
Well,
Is it
that's
in
my
your new
point. You're
budget?
saying,
Is it in
and I'm
Susan's
saying
new
I-
budget?
we don't know.
I just
I
looked.
didn't check
It's
that.
not in her new budget.
I can't.
Traffic control. Go to the next one. Traffic
31.
control. The town had
32.
30,000. The village had 11,000. For a total of 41, and we decided to cut it back to
I
20,000.
can't find that line. So
That's why we cut it out. It wasn't in your new budget. So
I
it's
can't. I
gone.
can't find
Yeah.
that line. It doesn't exist as far as I'm
Uh,
concerned.
That's kind of what we
3101
said.
and 31. Okay, 3101 and
I'll
we
ask
had-
tomorrow what it is though.
41,000 between the two communities, the two agencies, town and the village, and we've cut it back to 20.
Because you only can work on so many roads with so many traffic people. One department.
I mean, that's something we could ask Blue and Chris.
Yeah, that,
Yeah,
that's a blue.
that's certainly interesting.
Oh, absolutely. This is one of the lines that we were gonna hold off on.
Yeah.
Okay, hold up, okay.
That goes up with blue and Chris.
Right.
Okay. Which ones are we asking? Bill, that one?
All of those
All
little
that.
ones, pretty much were all
Not
blue.
central communication.
No, because that's phone.
Garage. And then traffic control.
Yep.
Those 3 on this page.
And traffic contractual on the next week?
Before we move off of central communications, because
Off
you
of
have
what?
off of, on the page of central communications, because you're not reflecting anything for the village. So where do you show your like phones and everything?
Probably department by department.
Hmm?
Do you show them by department?
And no, it actually goes under, yes, it goes by each department.
Yep.
We each budget for our own phones. We talked about
Yep.
that already.
Okay.
And we're only going to need one set.
No, but I understand that. But I'm just saying right now we're
It goes
showing.
in each individual budget. We don't have a separate budget line just for phones.
Okay. So, but right now we're just reflecting the cost for the town system.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
this doesn't cost that much.
traffic
Okay.
contractual, that is,
Oh, you
Okay.
also
this is going on the next page, A33104.
probably also refer that to Blue and Chris, I would think.
Is
No,
that-
that
Yeah.
may be
Yeah.
for braids and
Where are you?
No. It's
I missed
it's
A33104.
That's
it-
contractual. That's all Blue and Chris.
Yeah,
We're going to
but
talk to Blue and
what-
Chris.
But it's
The
not
next
praise.
page.
It's not.
right here
Okay.
on street
All right.
parking. I have
No.
3320.
This
Yeah.
traffic contractual
You
is.
got cut off one.
All right, I'm cut off.
But,
That's
but
all right.
Sally, this is the
I have it
contractual
right
piece
here.
of that.
Mine's right here.
Oh, yours printed
But
differently.
it's all for Blue and Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I have
contractual.
2 there. How
Oh.
many do you have?
3. Your point
Okay,
4 is
good. All right.
mine's all together.
Now we come down
God.
to 36201, which is safety inspections.
That's
Yep.
building.
We've got a reduction here, which is basically is almost equivalent to a person. I presume all the safety inspections that we do today, we're going to do tomorrow. Are we going to reduce the amount of
Yeah, but I mean,
inspections?
you know, you might not reduce. Well, you might not reduce the amount of inspections. You just might. Your support staff might be more efficient.
Managed differently.
You know, you could manage it differently, and you could have a support staff that. I feel pretty comfortable if you merge the two building departments, that you could see a savings.
I agree. But can we?
Is there an escrow aspect to that? Are developers charged for inspections of their own?
We have there's like safety inspections and that kind of, you know, there is we do have some money in Stacy's line for lawyers for, like, you know, certain things when
and merging it.
she has to
into the
take
court.
somebody to court, or
Do we
she
still
has
do
to-
the school inspections?
I don't think so.
We were, but
I don't think so.
we do want to talk.
We don't
about
do the
that.
school
We do
safety
one.
inspections?
Yeah.
I
don't know.
think so. I don't remember us ever
Middle
doing it.
school.
We need to do
We
one.
do
not-
one.
not from the
I don't
police
remember
I
us
department.
thought we
doing
did
it.
those. But anyway,
I think she
maybe
was
not.
going to check into some stuff. See
Miss
how we could do it.
39.
No, we missed on-street parking. Let's go back up.
3320. That's parking violations,
Yeah.
and that's
we,
something we've been talking about.
we have been
If we can
talking about
merge that.
merging that into
Yeah.
the courts.
And
What, the safety inspection?
But we haven't
No.
we haven't yet
On
deducted
street
any
parking.
in
We
dollars
haven't.
for that.
No.
Oh.
well, Nancy and I spoke today about the courts themselves, and going back to the personnel in the courts, and then we talked about the parking meter person and everything, and we said that there's a possibility that maybe there could be a reallocation of resources in terms of how they operate. But again, that should probably be a conversation. We should probably, as we go down a little further, have a conversation with the two judges and the court clerks to sort of talk about how can we possibly make this work.
I think because there needs to be someone that oversees that
Yeah,
department.
so you don't want to do...
not tonight.
Okay.
You
Let's
need
not
to
do it
that
tonight
another
because
time,
right now, for the purposes,
All right.
again,
It was one of the questions we had.
Yeah, and it's still up in the
We rolled it
air.
over anyway for dollars.
I mean, the truth is,
because we don't want to roll it into the police department. That's the
Right, that
issue.
we don't want to
Yeah,
do.
and
We
that's
all
the issue
agree
that I
on
think
that.
Susan's gonna look at. And
I mean, could it come under the auspices of the police? Possibly, but we'd have to, like, in other words, like, we're going to do
Then
this.
it goes into the
but
police
no,
union
no,
contract.
no, I don't
Gonna
want that. No,
be-
no, you're,
If
she
you're gonna
sees
be
it.
one government, you might be able to put it into another department.
Exactly.
So we
Right,
can-
right.
exactly.
Like
Let's
right now,
not worry.
parking is under
Right.
the treasurer's office.
Okay.
So.
Right.
Okay, now, all right, the next...
We're going to put all the justice courts under you. We're going to give you all the court clerks.
miscellaneous public... 39,894. What's is that? Just well, this isn't much money. So,
It's all town.
What are you looking at, Dave?
A 39,894.
Miscellaneous public.
You know what? That
Safety.
might not be a bad idea under the finance department
398.94.
because I already had it.
398.94.
But you guys
Uh-huh.
said to take that out.
We just talked about that.
I have a note here that you guys wanted to take that out.
What is it,
I
Bill?
thought we were supposed to take it
Well,
out
what's
it?
altogether.
But what's it?
That's the note I have. That's why I'm saying it's
Miscellaneous public.
miscellaneous public safety.
We cut it in half,
39894.
but if you think it should be taken out.
That wasn't. Yeah, that's.
we
the
weren't sure what,
What
it
is
was.
that?
were
That's
we?
the repeater.
Oh,
Oh, okay, so we're good because we'll only need one repeater.
Well,
Okay.
are there two repeaters now? I don't
Yes,
No.
I have a repeater and you have a repeater because I get a call from the police department all the time where I have to respond from the mayor's office.
Ah,
So
oh,
we
that's
do
when they
have
do that.
two,
When they do
yes.
that
That's why
emergency
we cut
test.
it in half.
Yes.
So that's when we do that
Yes, so
emergency
that
test
makes
that
perfect
Carol has.
sense.
Okay,
And I'm
Okay.
assuming that's what the repeater
Yes.
is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I guess I don't.
On the ambulance,
Okay.
does you had somebody put some? You had some questions about that?
I do.
Yes. Who had the questions?
Question
about?
number one. How do I ask this? I know that there was a huge fight between the town and the village a while ago because it was in both budgets. But my question is, why are we giving money to the ambulance service? It is not a town function and it isn't a village function, and people who use it pay for it.
We actually talked about this today because she was talking about their contract, and I was talking about what you and I spoke about. Plus, that other lady that was telling us about how she had to pay for the ambulance. She didn't use the village ambulance, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like $1,000 for the rescue squad or whatever to come out and take her. That's what Sally
Yeah.
was mentioning.
Well, you're talking about when the New Paltz Rescue Squad doesn't respond in Mobile Life or somebody else comes,
Yes.
and they get billed, which at
No,
No, New Paltz Rescue
New
Squad
Paltz
bills
Rescue
also.
Squad, if you needed the ambulance, Susan, and they came and got you and
Right.
transported you, you pay for it.
Oh.
And you pay for it.
Or your insurance does, but yes.
But there's still probably some reimbursements and all that. And I don't. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what.
Do we
I
have the contract?
But there is no. There's no ambulance that's owned by the village or town, right? It's
No,
owned,
it's a contract. It's a
contract with New
They're
Paltz
their own.
Rescue.
They're on their own. Yeah, right. They're their own not-for-profit.
So what do we pay for then if people are being billed for each time they come?
I don't know. I know that Kevin wanted to go,
That's right.
and Kevin wants to go, and sort of look at the books and have a better understanding in terms of how the billing actually really works. Because, you know,
But this is, I assume, a contractual.
yeah,
It
it is contractual.
So can we
Uh,
peek at the contract?
I have the contract somewhere accessible because I had pulled it out and I was talking to Jason about it and talking to everybody else about it. It's just I have to somehow.
Why don't we just wait until Kevin?
we can
What's
do that.
that?
I mean, I'm going to get the contract out anyway because I want everybody to see it and stuff. And also because like I explained to you and stuff, and I'll explain to you later what we did with the budget this year for the town and the village. But I'll get you the contract so you can look at it. That's not a problem. I just some reason I thought it was right there,
I mean,
but it's
I'm
not.
not- I don't-
But just let me just two quick things, Sally. In terms of the A and the B fund and that stuff, I can explain that later. It's not worth getting to
Yeah.
now. But at the end of the day, it is supposed to all be in the A fund. Even when we did the contract with the village and stuff,
I don't-
you paid for a smaller portion
I don't
of right.
dispute that.
You know, and stuff.
What I'm questioning.
I know what you're questioning, and that's Kevin has the same question.
That's a
and that's
really
what
good question, though.
Kevin's
I mean,
got.
what are we paying for?
Kevin's got the same question in terms of the billable expenses and should we be getting billed as much as we are, and so Kevin wants to go look at that. So what I can do is give you the existing contract now, but then in terms of further questions of where we go, that's a conversation that probably should be had. And then we are going to have a joint town village meeting, I think, this week or next week.
Next week.
Next
probably.
week, I think. So we might want to actually invite them in to put them on the agenda,
I think
invite them
we
in.
have an awful lot to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like setting the vote and things like
yeah,
that.
well,
What you're paying
that's
for
right
to
now. I don't
reduce,
think
Sally,
I don't
is
think
the
we
use
can
of that
change that at the
ambulance.
present time.
Not
We just leave it there, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, street administration.
All of those will be talked to.
Yep,
Blue
that's
and Chris.
Blue
Well,
and
that's not what we're paying for.
Chris.
Yeah, all the way down
think so.
to
You pay
Garage.
Street
Yeah,
lighting.
but I don't think that's
All
what
the
we're
way to
paying
street
for
lighting.
The ambulance contract so much.
Street lighting is out.
that's
even
all- it's part
farther
of it.
down, all
Yeah.
the way
That's-
down to.
Yeah, but we have
also
to
pay
do
for
street
woodland
lighting
lines.
separately.
No, we still always paid about that much
well, maybe
money.
that's something that Blue and
for an
Chris should
ambulance
be in. on.
contract.
Yeah, no, I understand
That was
I mean-
we've been paying this
No.
amount of money
No.
long before Woodland Ponds.
But then
I understand
all the
that.
other machinery,
Woodland
machinery,
Ponds is-
ma-
only just
all
recently started
sidewalks,
contributing,
all
And
that
that's why I like the idea of what you're
is
saying.
Chris and
Okay,
You should pay for
Now-
it. Woodland Ponds pay through their Medicare.
we're talking about street lighting. 26,741. You've got it. 73,602.
What no?
Yeah, that's the dollar amount. 26.
Oh.
741. It's
Yeah,
A51.
this is all moved out
A24.
all the way down here till this.
maybe
down
we
here.
should
Oh, yeah.
include that. With
I think you
yeah,
should.
we're going to put that with blue.
What?
Blue and
The
Chris,
street lighting.
yeah.
Street lighting.
also.
Okay.
Do that whole
Mm-hmm.
A50101 through 54101.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk
Okay.
with Blue and Chris about.
Okay.
Oh, so you're gonna
So-
put that off the 101? Okay.
Starting with 5101 all the way down
Sidewalks.
to sidewalks.
Including sidewalks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're down to bus operations.
Yeah.
I guess we decided to keep that the same.
Yes. Bus operations kept the same. In 11, in our theoretical 11.
That's the loop, right?
Yeah.
That's loop plus whatever our village one is.
Off-street
Oh, yeah,
parking.
park and ride.
I
That's-
presume that sounds reasonable. Stay the same. Other transport 59,894.
That's chips. So that's something you expend and get in if you get it every year. So.
I'm just
That's
laughing because
what
our
both
chips
of
is
us
like what
get it.
90,000 or
Well, that particular year the village we didn't have anything.
So you're suggesting we roll the 850?
I wouldn't roll anything because
Zero.
it's all going to
Yeah,
depend
she
on
said
what
not to roll anything.
It's a wash anyway.
Oh, it is reimbursed?
Yeah.
it's reimbursed. So you show it and
But we just don't really. We didn't have anything that year, so.
Social Services Administrator 60101.
I've okay. I mean, right now, for the purposes of now, we will keep that. It will, by the time we probably consolidate, this county might have completely taken over social services, but right now we're reflecting a true cost, so leave it. But then again, when we go and do our sort of
That's why
budget
it's
moving forward,
just rolled over
Yeah.
because it has to be done, and
Right.
we don't do it.
right?
Was it at one point treated as additional compensation for the supervisor?
Well, it's
I have an objection to that, and if it's in Susan's budget, I'm going to complain about Susan. I'll tell you ahead of time.
well, I mean, the truth of the matter is, in terms of the administration, we spend a lot of time doing that. I mean, Carol, in terms of, we just got a bill for $25,000 for one employee, for one social service person, and the county wants us to just pay the bill. And said, well, you know, when Carol says, but what's it for the services for? Because it's part of Carol's salary too. You know, what is the services for? And they said, well, we'll figure it out later, and if there's a problem, we'll reimburse you. And Carol's like, we're not sending you $25,000 or
I'm not
$9,000.
disputing that. I'm not disputing that it's a question you have to do, okay? It's a question, you know, you get a list, and the list is, here's all the people you have to pay, all right? And, you know, the responsibility of the town is to verify that those people are legitimate receivers of the money, right?
No, it's more than that.
Well, that's part of it, okay? And that they live in the town and they receive part of it, okay? And that's legitimate expense, okay? You know, my question is, be right in front with it, is that I don't think that's something the supervisor should do, okay? I think that, you know, that
Well,
you should hire somebody else to do
We
that.
can have a conversation. This is right now. We're just looking at the budget.
Yeah,
if it's
the other thing,
number.
okay, but
So-
I'll just finish the statement. And if in fact the board is going to make, the board wants to have the supervisor do that job, then put the money in the supervisor's salary line.
But it's not, it's a special line for social services. I mean, at a certain point when social services go up to the county, that gets taken out altogether because nobody's doing it down here. So right now it's an extra workload that we're doing because we're accepting this responsibility
I
from the county.
understand that, and then we reduce the salary of the supervisor then.
No, because it's a real figure and a real expense,
So for
and I
now-
don't care where you
Right.
put it at the
Right,
moment.
we have to keep it in
It
there.
has to be
Right.
there
But
because you have to do it.
It includes no payment to clients.
This is not
No,
that's a different line.
it's just
That's
That's right,
administration,
exactly, right,
administration
right,
of
right.
it.
But it's
my
a real
point,
number for now.
Ross, is
So
somebody has to do it.
Oh, I agree
Whether-
with you that.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
yeah,
I understand
But-
somebody has to do it.
And so we don't. Let's not discuss
Exactly,
whether it goes
exactly.
in the supervisor's.
And I suppose it would be done by the town part of the coterminous government rather than the village part. If it's
well,
by
actually,
law.
Could
I
be
mean,
done
again-
by if the new mayor / supervisor has a secretary.
Could be designated.
It could be designated
well,
by.
ultimately, it's really not a conversation to have because
Right.
Michael, the executive's budget reflects the county starting to take over safety net. Within 3 years, if things go as planned, the safety net will be completely on the county's back. The $60,000 that you'll see here as an expenditure later will be taken off of our books, and it will no longer be a problem of the local municipalities. It'll be the county's headache.
So that's a
So let's not even-
$68,000
savings.
savings.
So let's not
that
even.
would be true for a town without a village. Or
It doesn't.
Yes.
It makes no damn difference if we consolidate or not. But hopefully,
It's
within
going
the
to
next couple of
disappear.
years, the towns are going to start. The town will start losing that expense.
Okay,
Okay.
Sleepy, let's go.
Okay. Child care, I guess we have to leave that figure there.
Well,
Yep.
for the moment, it's a real cost, but I don't know why we're paying. But we'll
Okay.
deal with that later.
Is this the
Welfare.
why
The child care?
the part of the cost of maintaining the
Are you talking about child care?
yeah?
No, it's the HUD grant that we got under when Dave was supervisor. And
Now, I got to think that I did not get that HUD grant, okay? It was my predecessor, and I suddenly got the money and the people who were going to do the job went out of
What are you
business.
spending the money for?
we ended up there was a daycare center that was supposed to be in the Anthony Sakari building. When the Anthony Sakari building was a HUD grant. When the Anthony Sakari building ended up defaulting, somehow, some way, I don't.
You had this money, and the question is how you
and
going
so
to spend
you
it.
guys
They
somehow
decided it was a daycare center.
so they created a daycare center that's
But it
attached
was no
to,
intent that the town, once they arranged. And by the way, I want you to know, Sue, maybe you weren't on the school board at that point, but and then the school board ended up getting $250,000 because we do that building, okay, or something like that.
Anyway, Sally, this is for Sally. Sally attached to Duzine is a daycare center attached to Z, and you know
That's
that?
what I. Yeah, that's what I mean. Is
yeah,
that
that's
what
not
this
the,
is?
That's what that is. It's not the Y. It's that daycare center. And this
But
is,
I thought
it's
once
maintenance for.
I thought once that got attached, the town was out of any expenditures
And-
regarding it.
and
Yes.
It's supposed to be.
We agree.
Yes.
Well, good for us. We agree.
Absolutely.
So-
Everybody agree here. I don't know why we're spending money on it.
So somehow,
So
some
why
way,
can't we
okay,
get rid of it and save $4,465?
Okay, so somehow, some way, the town, don't ask me why, has been paying for maintenance, has been maintaining the building to the tune of like even they had to get like some kind of special toilet for $400 because it had blah blah blah. Carol's been spending amongst everything else that she's been doing. She's been going through looking at the
Toilets.
at the HUD Daycare Center grant. She's been looking at the contract. She's been looking, and she's basically, in essence, saying, A, we probably shouldn't be paying, so we don't know why, and B, the fact of the matter is that grant was done when they were supposed to take a certain percentage of low-income kids, which they don't do anymore. So on our agenda of the many things that we're dealing with is how to deal with this daycare center contract and get the town out from underneath it and say it's not our responsibility.
We'll just remove it.
Yeah. So we're just trying to legally
let's-
do it. We're just trying to legally do
Let's
it.
take
but,
it as a savings.
But right now you're just showing technically what was spent. You want to
We're
take it out,
showing
you
what
can.
was spent, but we want to show a savings too.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
let's get rid of it
You will
in the
see.
merged
You will
budget.
see. You will see in my budget for next year. I think we put
4,000.
2,000 in. I think we put 2,000 just for the safe side. That if there's for whatever reason we haven't been able to deal with it, we put 2,000 in. But we are looking
Okay,
to.
that's going to be a
But
savings.
that's
It will
a
be.
savings.
In
Yeah.
future, that'll be
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah. Because we're looking to. The town shouldn't be involved.
It's a savings in looking at what 2014 budget
Yeah,
is.
that's-
Because
I think
it's
that's
not
what you're
savings
saying.
in relationship to what it
I mean,
is
the truth
today.
that's what the
or
cost
it
Can
was.
was
we
then.
ask for reimbursement?
No.
And then it would really be.
Well, good. You probably wouldn't get it.
I
though.
happen to agree that I don't think that money should have been spent, but it was.
Okay, the
so,
welfare money is safety net. Okay.
Right.
Community action, that's a family cost?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to ask the same question. Okay. Is that a contract? And why are we doing that?
There probably must be a contract somewhere because I don't think we just give
Yes,
money
there
to
is a
somebody without.
contract.
So there is a contract, and the town has chosen, as a town government, that Family of New Paltz is a critically important organization in New Paltz that creates a safety net for the people who have serious needs, and in order for them to be able to feed the people and do what they need to do and do the programmings that they do, that they need a donation from the town, and the town has chosen for years and years and years and years to help fund that organization. And I think you'd probably see people going down fighting to take the
No,
money
I'm
away
just
from them.
asking when you have a legal obligation to an outside agency,
It's a contract.
there
It's a
should be a
contract every year.
contract, and
Yes.
the contract should be available.
Yeah, of course.
a
I'm sure it
contract
probably
every-
gets approved all the time.
No, I've not seen it. I think it would be a good idea for all of us to see it. Okay.
Veteran services, $800. I guess.
Are
I don't
you
know what
still
that
doing
covers.
that?
I
or
think
is
that's. I
that-
think it's probably burials. I think.
Yeah,
Is
but
it
wasn't
burials?
that cut?
Not burials.
No.
What is it? What is
No, because legally by law.
Yeah, I
Right.
thought so. Okay, so
Right.
that's those.
But it's for burials, isn't it? Nancy, or is it?
It might be for some kind of a burial, or it might be for like something towards the parade, or.
No, I think it's.
But
I think it's
cemetery
like-
line?
I think
I
it's
think
no,
you
but
have
I
to
think it
pay
might be
the
something-
I think
expenses
it's-
if
yeah.
If they're
someone.
Other
indigent,
okay.
you put in $2,000. The last time I went over,
What
you
is
said make it 2,000.
other economic?
Did we say two?
But see, what I don't
That's why I
understand, but
wrote
see,
down.
see, the
For
thing is,
burial?
I do know
Yep.
that I do know what I don't understand though. On a county level, we pay for indigent burials of veterans on a county level. So I'm not sure why we'd be paying for indigent burials on
I
a.
don't think it's actual burial.
Yeah.
Burial. I think it's something that
We used
But
to have to pay
is
indigents.
done at the burial.
What?
maybe. That would pay.
The county
I
would
don't
pay for
remember. I don't
The
remember. I
town used to
remember
have
there
to
was
pay
a
it.
discussion
Yeah,
about
20 years
this
ago. I don't know
about
what
2
the-
meetings ago,
something
and everybody
changed.
Oh, I don't know,
decided
'cause
that.
the county
I
to put it
read-
at
I know
2,000.
what it-
And I read the law on that. I
Yeah.
just
No,
don't
the
remember it right
the
now.
town government has the responsibility of maintaining the veteran cemetery.
Yeah, but I
But
think
that's
a
probably in
separate
building
line.
grounds. There's probably in buildings and grounds.
There's a line
There's a
called
cemetery.
That's a
cemeteries.
different. That's
Well, anyway,
for a different
$800
kind of
is not going to make or
cemeteries.
break out consolidated
Okay,
government. So
alright,
just
okay.
leave it.
Other economic expense,
That's
That's-
grant writer.
that's grant writer?
Yep.
Okay.
And we have increased that.
Okay, all right.
For the
We're
future.
going to make it
Question about that.
10,000 in the
About what?
Grant writer.
projected budget because
Hey.
that's a very important
Police
thing to
officer.
have.
That was trained to do
Recreation
grant
administrator,
writing, and
know
they
that.
never use them.
same.
Oh.
Parks contractual,
No,
No.
recreation administration. We
I don't know what that is. The recreation.
oh the note
Oh.
the note says it's no longer in the 2013
Yeah. Right.
budget, and therefore
It's out.
It'll probably be replaced with a part-time
Okay.
position, but
No,
So we're going to
never
leave
for-
that as
yeah.
a
Well,
savings.
For now until you get to the personnel.
Okay.
Side, but yeah.
parks
Okay.
contractual.
and
I
actually,
noticed-
on
We
your little-
just kept
and
that.
just
That's
as-
a blue
Keep that.
question.
Can you just do
Yeah.
me a favor on your little notes right where it says SC?
yes.
You should put KB and JL, and take out SC.
Ah,
What's that, please?
It's just a little note. It's not true.
No, that just means the budget.
Well,
That just means
I understand that, but it wasn't. I'm just
no,
saying.
it's not cut by
Yeah,
you.
no,
That just means it's no. A tentative budget, the proposed budget,
We're
is
actually
the
looking at you two guys.
I
supervisor.
know, I
Okay.
understand it. However,
Okay.
this
Right.
particular
And-
wait a second. This particular supervisor asked her liaisons for that department to come back with their recommendation of what they want to see in the
Okay.
budget, and the budget reflects their recommendation. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so I understand that, but we
I know
weren't
that.
being derogatory
Okay,
when we
that's
put
okay.
it that way.
Okay,
We weren't trying to say anything mean.
let's kind of move along.
Okay.
A71-101.
Leave
That's
it, yeah.
Parks. We're going to ask Blue and Chris about all that.
Probably more blue.
Is that
Yeah.
Well, no, because we probably in Parks is probably the Field of Dreams or something possibly.
No, and it's our parks.
It's all
Yeah.
the
You know, it's all the
Yeah.
parks.
Yeah. So,
Base out at
Yeah.
the
yeah.
recycling center.
Mm-hmm.
It's all our parks. So, but that's a good question to discuss with them.
Okay, now the village cost here of $15,000 on parks? Okay. Special recreation,
Moriello.
No. Oh yes.
Yeah, this is
Yes,
all
Moriello.
Personnel services. That would
This
be
is-
lifeguards, I assume.
Yeah.
this is Moriello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any particular reason why you took it down to 100, recommend 120?
Mhm.
Why?
Because we do not believe that a recreation center should be run at a loss. So if you only take in $160,000 revenue and you expend 320, say, then you've got a problem. Either your memberships need to be increased,
Or
you
your
need to
price.
do something about
Decrease them.
staffing, but
Maybe
But-
Moriello Park, the Moriello pool should not be being run at a loss.
But if it costs 130, we don't disagree. Nancy and I talked about that today, and Gene and I are in total agreement, and most of the village board members I've talked to are in total agreement. But if it costs 131,000 in personal services, that's what it costs. So we have to raise the revenue to equal that. You wouldn't cut the expenses.
unless all right.
We're not going to cut the
no.
expenses. This is what it costs to
No,
hire.
this, we didn't know that part when we were doing this because we didn't see anything in your budget reflecting.
But maybe you
your
don't
fees
need
going
as
up.
many lifeguards as you have.
No. They for the amount of people that swim. I'm sure there's legally, that you're sort of obligated to have so many life and stuff, whatever. I wouldn't if I think
I don't know.
I would say just increase your fees and wash it.
I agree with it, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't change
so
the expense
so
side.
we can put that back.
I would make
and we'll
it,
bring
but
the
we'll bring
revenue
back when
side
you
up.
bring the revenue side up
Yeah.
because
Well, we have to because
the only way, I mean, you could reduce the cost of running the pool, but what you have to do is
You have to
reduce.
close it some of the time.
That's exactly right. You have to close. You have to open it later, close it earlier.
no, but I don't disagree, and you and I
Yeah.
think agree
Yeah,
on this.
yeah.
My point is,
Yeah, we talked
no
to
matter
Gina-
how many hours
Right.
we're open,
It has
whatever,
the revenue. Yes.
if it's going to cost
Right.
$300,000 to do it, then
Right.
it's got to have
Yes.
$300,000
And
in
we've- and
revenue
we've
to
talked
offset
yes,
it,
Yep.
Yes.
And then we got that. We have that captured.
and we all agree on that.
So you got the revenue side of it.
No,
So
but
we're
I
we're
moved
not
to-
going to have a
moved to do
savings
so.
there.
Right.
No, but you're
Okay.
going to increase your revenue.
Yeah.
You just have to remember to increase the
I
Yeah,
wrote-
we have to
I
do
wrote a
that.
note from
Okay.
them,
Okay.
Okay, all the rest of the things are essentially the same actually look at reduction, but
Now I will say just quickly on the youth program thing. I mean, right now for the moment, we're going to reflect what's the real
What you
cost
have.
and everything. But
Yeah, it's all
chances
rolled.
are that the town is going to be having conversations about the possibility of turning the youth center into a not-for-profit, and so that those are conversations. But again, right now this is the cost to run the youth program.
Right,
so,
and we don't want to
right,
mess with that.
right
okay. Down on the
Oh,
library.
there is a mistake, Ross.
on the library.
Oh,
You did not carry over 129199
129.
in the youth programs. It's got to be exactly the same because we said no reduction. So add 199.
Where is that, Sally? 1, 2.
73.
A73-101.
Yeah. Okay.
You
I do have 129. Oh,
Where you-
199 is you're
yeah,
telling me is
you
missing.
put the
Okay.
199 in.
Got it.
Okay,
Okay.
so we're leaving
You
that
did
alone.
really good for all that
Okay.
work you
Given-
did. there.
Now we get
Yeah.
down to A74-102.
Now wait, just Ross, you did. Sorry, Dave.
He already
I just want to make sure Ross fixed this where he has $321
Yes.
versus
Yeah, I
$321.
did.
Yeah.
And I indicate that
You
it
see
should
this?
not belong.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about.
That one. I
Yeah, A74-104.
Yeah, we already
okay.
told him at the
I've
beginning.
I've corrected it in 2 ways.
321.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got to change 321,000.
Yes, and I've added a note that says this should not be in the town A or in,
Yeah,
in
we
the
know that.
coterminous budgets. Huh?
Historian, I guess we leave the
I
same.
think so.
Historic Commission.
Storm sewers would be good for blue. to just-
Historic property, I don't know, make any difference. Celebrations, I noticed we cut the celebrations a little bit
Um,
from 68.45 to 34.23.
We thought that if there was whatever it covers, it one government would probably do it rather
well,
than both.
I've already cut. I mean,
For your budget.
I cut it from my budget because last year there was $2,500 for fireworks. There was $2,000 for a Unison band that we ended up not spending the money on. We, and that wasn't Unison band. Unison was going to hire the band, but
So cutting it in half is
we
correct.
we cut it. I already cut it in half of my budget.
Yeah, but
So
that's
this
what I'm
is
saying.
good, yeah.
So
And then
we
what
did-
we also did was we had $500 in the A fund for
CIT.
no for the the volunteer party, but then we also had $500 in the B fund, but we usually do the volunteer party together, so
they haven't done one for
I know,
years.
and I was actually going to bring that up at the next town village meeting and stuff because we have money in the budget and stuff. So we took $500 out of the A fund, put it in the B fund, assuming that you do one, and then if we're going to do a volunteer thing, we do
We
it
don't
together
have
and
it
we're
on our
done.
budget this year.
Right.
So,
Right, but I mean,
Right.
I think
Okay.
in fairness to the town, it should be in the B fund, and we should
I know.
cough up our share.
I know. I understand. We had part in the B fund, we had part in the A fund. It was like, but we always did it together. So what are we
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. So you moved it to the B fund, or
Well, I took it. No, I kept it in the B
No,
fund. We
I
just took
think
out the
that-
part of the A
took
fund.
out the A fund.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
By the way,
Exactly.
on this particular page, I just noticed, okay,
Yeah.
where we've reduced things, okay, they're in total, okay. In previous pages, I think we've had minuses, so I think we should. Okay, no, I guess
No,
they-
minuses mean that
Okay, yeah,
it's
okay.
subtracted
It
from the
actually
savings.
increases, okay.
Yeah.
Now the question is zoning, okay.
Yep.
We spent $21,731 between the town and the village, basically in 2011.
So that's probably for our secretarial staff, right? Pretty much.
Most likely.
So, like in other words,
No,
for us for
you're-
Kelly and for you
We're
for.
we're 1/3 of what, and we believe that Susan is adjusting this already through escrow accounts and things like
You
that.
Well,
have
no, it have to. Let me just double check because
I don't think zoning.
we have an employee. We have Kelly
Yep.
who does.
It's usually very
Well, she should be
minimal,
in your building inspection department.
No,
though. No, the
she's
secretary
she's
would go under zoning.
Oh, secretary.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You have
And-
somebody named Kelly too.
and in the B fund apparently.
yeah. In the B fund, we have. We actually right now Kelly is half. She's now the a code enforcer. So half of her salary is in the safety building inspector, and then she actually gets paid 2 different rates. She gets paid one rate for
She
20
took the
hours as a,
test?
she
For
for
code
whatever it is she's qualified. Yeah, so maybe it's not that title or whatever, but she gets paid one rate when she for half her time working for the building inspector, and then she gets a much lower salary for the secretary to
Yeah.
the zoning board
That's minimal.
and the planning board.
I think 10,000 is good there.
Oh, I don't think that's sufficient.
No?
I'll tell you in a second.
You're
Dave.
not charging properly for your applications in the town, Dave.
That's all gonna change the way that it's
Okay.
gonna go out.
You're putting things in the
It's
general
in your
fund
AUD
or
though.
the A fund that don't belong there. They should be in escrows
Well,
charged
let me just
to.
tell you
Well,
right now.
that's true when you're talking about application
well,
for the
Dave,
planning board,
I can.
not necessarily
It's
the
also
zoning
for
board.
the
No,
zoning
I'm
board.
going to just show zoning board right now for 2013. We have 11,703. 3,380 is for the amount of hours that the secretary works, and then there's just some money for state required conferences, public notices, municipal contract shared with planning board, travel, petty cash, and professional consultants, of which actually the biggest portion of that is $10,000 for professional consultants, which is probably lawyers for the ZBA and the engineer for the ZBA. So
And a lot of that, if you do your escrows, you're gonna charge
That should
back
be in
out.
your
well,
escrow,
well,
so
that-
that's why it's
I think that's a little.
10,000.
I think that's a little bit over.
I think
differently than-
10,000 for a combined.
Well, I
is
just
okay.
think that when you have a combined figure of $21,000 costing between the town and the village, okay, combine it together, you gotta be responsible for the same amount of property, and zoning
We have more
What-
zoning problems
is-
than the
what is
village,
your-
than the
spent
town does, Dave.
$5,000.
And we're only 1/3 of the town's costs. So 10,000 is doubling our figure
But Dave,
and reducing you.
but you know what? Part of the reason why our numbers is hot is what it is. 10,000's in for probably professional consultants, which is legal and possibly some engineering, and if we're going to have a lawyer on retainer, and it's one government, you know, and because we have planning and zoning in the B fund, but once we're one government, we're not going to have a B fund anymore. So now, if we have generic questions to ask the attorney that's independent of the escrow accounts, the attorney's on retainer, so we don't have to reflect
Okay, so
costs
you
for.
support that $10,000?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And since we argued it on the lawyers, I don't know why we're arguing it again.
No, but Dave,
No,
in
okay.
fairness to Dave,
Yeah.
he's looking at the numbers and
Yeah.
looking at it from
You
the
know,
perspective
the
of
question
how.
of the planning. I think that one of the questions you're going to do, okay, and I think we have to do this. I'm glad we're having the discussions, okay, because the point is this: when we put these figures, and I see such great descriptions, is, you know, we have to understand, you know, what's the
Right.
justification for that change, and that's part of that discussion. The
Now,
question
we
of
left planning pretty
Now planning, I think, is
more than we had to.
Oh, you mean at the 50?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
only only cut that because we don't know
well, I can tell
how
you.
much of your, if you have a wetlands law lawsuit, is that charged
Well,
to
let me
planning?
let me just tell you for this 2013,
Okay,
our budget is 22,807.
22.
22,807, and again, it's 10,000 for the planning board secretary in terms of the amount of hours that she
Okay.
has to be there, and then there's
Wow.
Then we could cut some of that.
wait a second, and then let me. That must not be the number. I don't think I went with.
So we could cut
Oh.
a hefty amount
Yeah,
from
but
I
you're
there.
gonna have only have one planning board secretary. You won't
Well,
need two.
Yeah, you
you've
won't
cut
need to.
186 already, though.
No,
And,
that's only because that was that big lawsuit that they were paying, and the escrow accounts weren't billed properly. So that
Okay.
was an actual.
So they
number
also
anyway.
again I'm not sure. I have to look at what I did, but I see 10,000 for the secretary. Then
Okay.
there's another 20,000, but 17,500 is for planning board consultants, not reimbursable.
Okay.
But again, if we're going to have
That's
a lawyer on
47.
retainer, a lawyer on retainer that we don't have to.
Even if we made it 100,000, it would be more than enough.
Oh, I think that's
Well,
much
you've
too
made
much
it- you've
money.
They have it
You've made it
50,000
50,000.
now.
I think 50 is
Yeah.
actually. I think
Yeah.
50 is.
I think leave it.
I think
We're
50
good?
is too much.
All right, so let's go down to what?
let's
40?
leave it. Okay, all right.
Leave it for safety. I think we gave it a good heave, and I
So-
think $50,000 is reasonable.
I have no problem with that.
And if
because
there's a short, if there's an if that's a little generous and zoning's a little short, then it's
Then
still
they can
Right.
switch off on
Equal.
each other.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, all right. No other questions about the storm sewers?
That would
Let's
be blue.
circle that for blue, and that's another good one for blue and Chris.
A lot of these would be for blue. Street cleaning.
Yeah. Oh, the sanitation, no, maybe not.
Yeah, that'd be
Okay,
blue.
all right.
I would think
done?
that's blue.
Are you done?
Or Chris.
Oh, we didn't do
You folded your stuff
environmental
up?
contractual.
Oh.
No, we did
That,
not.
my stuff didn't
It is
even
nothing.
renew
We
it.
took it
That
out.
was your stuff.
We
I
took
had
it
the
out,
whole
but I
stuff.
wanted to
Oh.
make sure
I
everybody
asked you if
understood
you
what
wanted a
we
new
did.
budget, and you said no.
Okay.
I
Okay.
asked you if you
uh,
wanted one.
Refuse
you
and
said you wanted
garbage,
something.
other
I
sanitation.
said you want to use mine.
Community-
I would
meaning
wait for blue and
this.
Chris on
That's
that.
And
blue
then
and
you
Chris.
said I'll
Street
stay with my old
cleaning,
stuff.
blue
Now,
and Chris.
why
Change all
would
that
we reduce on a combined budget? Why would we reduce the refuse and garbage? Oh, I know why we would reduce it. No, hold it. That's
Actually, Nancy and I talked about that today, and actually, I don't have my little note on here, Nancy, but Nancy said that they reduced it because we give a fee out of our
No, this is a different line.
yeah.
This is the actual garbage pickup for the village. That
Oh,
was
okay.
a different line we were talking
Okay,
about.
yeah, because I don't have a note, so
Yeah, I think we need to wait on blue for that.
Yeah.
'Cause that's
Okay.
an area that we want to talk to Blue about.
Yep.
Okay.
And street cleaning and all that is
That's all
blue
blue.
again.
Shade tree we rolled.
Community beautification,
That
we left it.
5,000.
We reduced it by
360.
yeah.
Concert shade tree we
the street cleaning. That kind of like is in that Blue Chris discussion too, right?
Right, that's what I
Yes,
just
right.
said. Yeah.
Street cleaning collection.
Yep.
Okay.
Shade tree is $1,000,
which we left.
which we left.
Have a question. If in fact we get an approval, and the village is now a whole total encompassing entity,
Mm-hmm.
we will have to probably change the shade tree ordinance, okay,
Yes.
to cover the town,
Or yes, or limit.
or what is out town outside the village, okay?
You don't have a shade tree commission.
No. Well, I mean,
No, we don't have a state commission.
That's what I said.
there are a lot of laws like that that have to be tinkered with
They're
to
gonna
some
have to
small
be played
extent.
with.
To either, and that's a board decision. Do you want it to apply to the entire
But
territory?
what
or
I'm
some?
trying to think is, do you know what the expense of the $1,000 is?
Yes, I do.
Please.
Buying trees to replace trees that have been lost. Part of it is they have run educational programming, 4 or 5. They had a community pruning training session, and the $1,000 is to buy. I could buy shrubs for Village Hall. They could buy.
Or anywhere in the
We had
village.
an erosion problem down at the gardens, and they replaced trees there. They've gotten a lot of trees
if the
donated.
village, that responsibility becomes then a village-wide, which is the whole area of the town, the village now, shouldn't this be considered as a
Special district.
potential increase?
Could
Well,
be.
the question is, where's the special district?
And Blue has some
I
money
mean,
in
not
his lines,
really.
too.
No,
There's trees
I
and
would
stuff.
leave it
not
alone,
special
and I'd
district,
leave
it's
it at
Parcel
$1,000
related.
Yeah.
until
just
we
like
play with the ordinances. And a number of this is in the inventory of facilities figures into this too, because they've planted 2 cherry trees at Moriella. If you broaden it and you have one building, that's got. I think that is a discussion that we'll want to have after the merger, because laws will have to be changed, and at that juncture, don't forget, we're just estimating. The new board
Yeah, has the
gets
power,
to do the
yeah.
budget. We're just trying to.
We got conservation here.
Yeah, I'm confused on the 10,000. I don't know what that was for. You, but in the B fund we carried it.
What?
I was looking at the 10,000 here. I don't remember about this.
Conservation.
This is the NCC.
I don't see where you
Yeah, that's right. We carried it from town B, cut it back a little, but
Well, you
But
cut
we
it
don't know
back-
what it's for.
I don't
Cut
know
it back
nothing yet.
$10,000.
no, we cut it back 2688. I think.
Well, hold it.
We left
You
10.
took it back to the 87,101.
That's true. That's true.
Well, what the zero?
But that's town A and town B, and I'm not sure exactly what the town considers conservation. But our conversation, we thought it was ENCC.
It is ENCC, but we didn't have anything in the village.
Well,
And ENCC, they don't have...
ENCB is 8090. 8090.
In which one?
I just think that
No, that was
total
the
look at it. You're
environmental
looking at
control.
$20,000 here, and you're cutting it to 10.
I guess we would have to see what they spent money on. You know
Yes.
what I mean? That's probably something we'd have to look at.
I just want to show Sally this worksheet just really quickly. See, Sally? See, Sally? It's a
Down
worksheet for
below.
CIT.
You did put it in,
I know I
but
did.
it's not in your printed.
I
budget.
understand that I know why, but it is in.
I can only read the budget.
I understand that.
Okay.
Wait a second. So let
We're
me
at
just.
conservation.
we're in
Do you know
eight-
what that is?
Have that research.
87. Wait,
still
87104.
Yeah, 87,101.
Yeah.
One is personnel services, the other
Yeah.
is
I'm not
contracts.
sure.
87. I don't think it's in my budget next year because it ain't there.
Huh.
It's ENCC for the village, but we didn't have any expense in 2011.
I'm just
Nope.
looking the town for a second.
So is it a say? What are we doing?
Susan's looking.
Well, it's 12,688 contractual
In the B fund, yeah.
Yeah.
in the B fund.
80,
Maybe connected with wetlands. I don't know.
8710.
It might have been.
Is it 8710?
Yes.
Yeah,
8710 and
8710 and
8710
1 and
87. It's
Four.
open, it's the open space, and that's in the A fund. I think
Open space
8710 in the A fund is open space.
Why would you have
acquisition or lawyering.
Well, they
or-
had $50,000 in there last year.
for what?
I brought it down to 10,000. They had money in
Well, that's probably where we got our number from. We probably checked our
the
budget.
10,000.
yeah.
And the 10,000 in my budget is for easements with the Walker Valley Land Trust to start to do a baseline of monitoring for all the conservation easements we have through the town. But what they had money.
Oh,
in
you're
the-
going to pay the. You're going to
Well,
because contract with Walk
We
Hill.
contracted with the
Good.
Walker Valley
That
Land
makes
Trail
sense.
to actually. We have all these easements and stuff, conservation easements, but meanwhile nobody ever monitors them or manages them, and so they get encroached and there's garbage
Wouldn't
and
it
there's
be
this.
better
and,
just
but
to give
All right.
all those easements to the Walk Hill Land Trust?
Maybe
I
by
don't know.
contract you can. Maybe the rail trail was set up in such a way.
No,
that
no, this isn't rail trail.
Not rail.
Yeah,
trail.
this is.
Okay.
But what they did have $50,000 in last year. Strangely enough, they had like $20,000 for property tax, which somebody, if you want to explain to me how we buy open space, the town takes it over, but we put $20,000 in the budget for property tax. I don't know, but it's not in my budget. Okay, they put in.
Maybe that's where the police.
No, that was in planning and
Maybe
infrastructure.
that's where the police property tax is.
No, no. That was in a different line. That's
Oh,
in
that's
a different
in a
line,
different
but
one,
it's not in
okay.
my budget for next year. How we figure that out, what we do, I don't know. But
Okay, so the rest is pretty much.
but
status
they
quo.
also
But Susan,
we shouldn't be, of course, but it's in the contract and it is. But I'm refusing to.
But okay, I just
All
was
right.
wondering.
And then there was
is-
money. Then there was
is-
also money for acquisition. There was money for appraisals.
Yeah,
there was
the-
money
the-
for.
There
the
is
The
nothing.
town spent $20,000,
and it's being knocked down to 10.
and you knocked it down to 10, and I just.
And there's nothing in
2011.
Susan's budget for it.
And
There's for planning.
There's $10,000 in it. I just
Yeah,
saw
for
it.
No. Under in the B fund,
No, in the A
she
fund.
has taken out that money,
She has it in the A fund.
and it was never adopted in 2012. So it's a
Well, let me
spurious
just-
amount.
Let me just see the NCB if that's.
Here, Susan.
But what is your
Right here on the
80-90.
top. Right here on the top. See, nothing was budgeted all the way across.
For open.
So it must have been a one-time
no,
expenditure.
no. There's
and-
money. There's money.
Yeah, I'm
It's
holding your
here.
hand.
It's in the A fund.
It's in the A fund. And you're looking in
You
the.
have
you're
two
looking at the big-
things. You have conservation in the A fund, and you have conservation in the B fund.
in
And
11?
it's B87104, which
You're-
I just showed you.
You're
And-
talking about what was
Zero.
in 2011
This is 2011.
versus what's in
Yeah.
2012.
Well,
What's in
that's what I'm saying.
2012 is what I said to you was one of the lines was open space, of which had been 50,000, but I'm putting in 10,000.
Right.
Okay, then there is ENCB, and I think our ENCB. Do you have an environmental? You have a
Yeah,
right?
but we haven't spent any money.
Okay, but I mean, so in other words, that's probably the B fund is ENCB,
But Susan, what I'm saying is in 2011,
right?
there was an expenditure in the B fund of $12,688. That is not budgeted for in 2012 or 2013, so it's a one-time expenditure.
You're talking about which line?
B87104.
She took it out of the B fund. It's now in the A fund.
Oh, okay.
There
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I
Right
know,
here.
but we're watching.
Okay,
it was
B8
just an expense at that time, so it's no longer.
So it's a savings
Yes.
of
Yeah, so we can.
12,688.
It's fine. Yeah.
And what do you want? Ideally, the town would spend how much if you had your wish?
She has 10,000 in her
I have
budget.
10,000.
We'll leave
It's-
10.
So we've given 10
yeah.
here. That's
Yeah,
a
we're good.
that's
Yeah,
a-
so
that's
we're
a-
good.
Yeah, no,
right?
that's that because
We're
that's
good.
that's a
That's
real
rough
number.
We're
equivalent
good.
of-
Well,
yeah.
that's going to be for like
Yep.
the contractual for like the
Okay.
yeah.
We're fine.
All right.
And I can't find this
So
87.
it isn't too much and it isn't too little. It's a
No.
fairly decent.
And
We-
cemeteries
We
has to
pulled it
be.
off her new
We
budget.
pulled it from that's right.
and I haven't been able to find that 87.
Roll your
yet.
cemeteries, everybody.
Yeah, that we did. I did that.
Did you have cemeteries in your new budget, Susan?
87. Yeah, but it might have gotten folded into buildings and grounds.
Oh, okay.
I think Chris didn't break it out.
Okay.
You know, I think he just, it's, the guys go and they do it and stuff. And
All right.
so,
Okay.
Now
I would suggest, okay, that on these figures, state retirement, Social
I've got those
Security,
numbers.
workers' compensation, employment insurance, disability insurance, hospital insurance, other employee benefits and so forth, all of those things. Basically, what we do is
Christopher
when we get a
Cemeteries.
chance to, having reviewed the bidding from the Human Resources Committee, we just take it as a percentage reduction.
Well, we can take a percentage reduction right now because we have eliminated a supervisor's position, a clerk. We've merged those two. We haven't done anything about
we've
Chris.
also-
No, but yeah,
I think we're going to have
then
both
you're
of them.
piecemealing it, Sally.
But
You're piecemealing it, okay? I think it's when we get that committee report, and hopefully we'll have it, you know, like so that we can use it next week. We can just say, you know, it's
All right,
10%
that's
reduction
fine.
in
But-
people,
but
so it's a
actually,
10%
according
across
to
all
that
of them.
but just-
Before you do that, if I may say, those figures don't quite agree to my bills.
Your bills are higher, or
My bills are higher.
Is it broken out though between different funds?
Huh?
This is just the A fund.
This is-
Mine's broken out between A, F, and J.
Mine is only the A. Mine would only be the, well, it would be the A and the B, because I
Right.
just remember what I did was I took what everybody was paid, based it against what was sent to the Fed, went through every bill to see who got paid, every individual employee, what we paid for them for NISHIP, MVP, disability, and I've got the bill, so I'm not even going to question.
all I know is this is what is reported in the AUD.
And that's our
This is
actual
what we
spend
use.
for the village anyway.
This is
Well,
our
I'm just
actuals.
I'm just looking at let's just say the A fund, just for argument's sake, on workers' comp, $170,063. According to the actual bills paid to workers' comp, I don't know if it went to the A or the B, Sally. That it didn't tell me. It just was $223,801 based
higher,
upon.
higher
makes
than
it-
the AUD said?
Huh? Well, that was the total amount paid to the workers' compensation fund per the bill that was submitted to
Well,
the town.
would they have put the
my
highway
old
people
town
in?
is 199, 877. Is that not? What was yours?
My total
Yeah.
for the A fund, workers' comp, was 170,063.
Yes, that agrees with this.
Right, and then in the B fund, $7,800.
Yes, and
Yeah.
in the D,
You're
and in
looking-
the DA 5419, and in the DB.
Is
He's
16,595.
243.
So maybe
So
the water,
I got two-
maybe you got water and sewer that I haven't captured. It may be that you have.
But there is money in water and sewer.
There's workers' comp money and water.
Water,
Yeah.
so absolutely.
But that we wouldn't have to
Right.
capture.
Right, so you've got.
That goes elsewhere.
Let me get my figures here.
So I think we're pretty accurate.
the thing,
on
the
this
thing
one.
that the thing is,
My number without water and sewer is just about 200,000.
Yep.
So
just so you do know, I mean, like again, right now this is showing actual real numbers.
Yep.
But we've in next year's town budget. Well, we've already reduced our employees by 4.
So if we
Five.
were doing the same thing for 2012, the number would be lower.
You're
because
gonna. There's already 5 or 6 less people working for the town, just going forward. And then as we do a merged budget, you're gonna have even less people because we won't have a supervisor and a mayor. We might not have 2 clerks.
But generally, we can apply 44% for benefits.
Wow.
That's what we
Wow,
calculated,
yes, I know.
right?
I got higher
Or
than
more.
that, Sally.
Or more, I
Higher
would
than
say.
44%?
Yeah, I got
44%. What did you get?
Well, yeah, but that is, you
50
can't do that. The police have a higher benefit ratio.
Based upon actual benefits paid, which include everything, came to which, what did I get?
We actually
50.
worked off his sheets, didn't we? We worked from Ira's sheets, didn't we?
We looked
I
at
have
something.
to
I
find
thought
it.
we
It was
did.
somewhere in the
I don't
50s.
think
We looked at
It
some
was
of
somewhere like
our
on
sheets.
49%, 40 something like that. When you added,
Wow.
because don't forget, I added in the retirees.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to, right? I added it. In other words, my benefit package contains EAP, MVP, NISHIP, Medicare Part B, which is for the retirees alone. Then FICA, Medicare, disability, workers' comp, and pension. The only thing I didn't have was the unemployment because that's a self-pay, and I didn't have bills. And I don't think it's that much. I don't think you fired that many people.
Unemployment's probably up to about 40.
Yours
We
is high
need-
now. Probably, mine was more this year than ever, based on one person.
Okay, we need the town's debt figures.
I got
we went
a
over that last
total
time.
in benefits, okay, against that $4 million payroll, I wound up with $2,631,000 in benefits.
That's 50%.
Yeah, that comes to 56.93%.
Wow.
You're getting more benefits than you are salary?
No,
That can't be.
No, he's talking
no.
about retiring. He's taking the total.
Oh,
No, I'm adding. I'm adding the total. If you're going to make reductions, those people are still going to get their benefits, Sally.
I agree.
You know what I mean? That's part of the major problem. We have all of these people who are
Well, I did put a
retired.
sheet on
They're
this.
still
Why
being
aren't these
charged to the
figures
police
here?
department, and that's just the benefits.
Where?
The
Town-
salaries still get
town
charged to the
debt.
police department.
I sent.
Oh, I did not include your sheets in this.
Well, you should have if you have
So
billing
that,
and
that's
debt
what
in
I'm
it.
saying.
based
AUD.
upon that, we
This is
can't
what was on the
we
AUDs.
can't really say, well, if we had total employees of, just for example, of 100, or we
So
could
we
took
should
10
take
off.
that
I
all
can't
out.
take 10% off of this. It's
Well,
less
mine
than
will
that
be all
because
paid off.
we have to
We'll
take into
probably have something new
consideration
by then.
those
Most of mine
people
will
that
be
it
paid
would
off
still.
by
So
2014.
actually, it's the number of
town
employees
should
total.
Yeah, I
have
get it.
theirs.
It's
So
got to be total
I
by
think they only
total.
had one
Okay,
van,
so
one van
basically-
out there. What we saw.
That's a very basically what we got to talk about is the number of employees covered. Okay,
Exactly.
covered in 2011. Okay, both the town and the village total covered, and then reduce it by only what. So if you reduce that quantity by 10, whatever that percentage is, then that's what you reduce in benefit. That's not really true because the people working get a higher ratio than those retired. So I'm not sure that that's going to be perfect either.
No, I said it's something that has to kind of, let's say you reduce X number of people, you're going to have to figure out who that people is and what that cost saving is.
That's what I
That's
would
the
do.
only
I
way.
would do it
Yeah.
on an individual.
You have to do it that way. That's the way I did this.
Yeah, but you
I
can't.
took if you saw that report I sent out, it lists every single person and every benefit that person gets by name, because that was the way I got the information. So that spreadsheet I sent out has every single person, like Harry, and he gets NISHIP, and he gets MVP, and he gets EAP because he's permanent, and he gets FICA, and he gets disability, et cetera, and it's broken across the board. This was the summary that I made up. 'Cause
The only one thing with this is you have the community partnership in here, and that's a grant.
That's
That's
why
a
we
federal
need to
grant
know
that
who does
is
which job.
this part
That's
Well, then it
here.
should
very
have come up
important for
to
your
zero.
committee, your HR
Well, no,
committee.
well,
You can't price.
We get
Well,
paid.
it goes
We
into-
get.
so then it goes into
You know
income
who
like
does
mine.
what.
Yeah, we get.
that you wanna
And what
eliminate, or-
functions are
Well,
being
you're not
performed
We're
not
the
gonna be
fiscal
perfect,
sponsor,
but
so
I
it goes
guess
through
what
us.
it-
But
I
we,
guess the
but we don't.
situation
It's
is-
not
I
really
already
an
got
expense
all
of the
mine.
town.
Mine's broken
We
down.
right,
can
but
we
there's
can
no
make it
be-
a supposition.
The only,
Yeah.
the only only
You know,
thing
if
is
there are
you get
100
the grant, but
employees
you don't
between
get
the
the grant.
town and the
I'm
village
pretty sure you
today,
won't
and I
get
don't know
the
what that
rebate-
is,
We
but
get
let's say
everything,
that
yes,
is.
everything.
You get FICA
And,
back?
Everything, everything.
You know, there's
Because a lot of grants you
everything,
don't.
everything. I
Okay.
think.
count
So-
every retiree as
Anyway.
a
That makes this figure
75%
higher.
count or something like that, so that that adds on to whatever those are, and then knock it off the number of employees, the
You know.
percentage. If you took off 10 people and it was 120, or 12 people it was 120, then it's 12%.
Yeah.
Well,
And basically, I think that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to consider that you've got for each one of these
You can have this one.
Okay.
things, okay, you know,
Do you
you're
want
going
my
to have
town
to,
report? You done? Or you still need it?
because it makes a difference, okay, it also makes a difference. You have to take into consideration a little bit about on these things, especially when you're talking about Social Security. You know, what are the level of the people that you're getting rid of? Okay, I mean, if you get rid of a policeman, it's a lot more than Social Security than it is getting rid of a supervisor or a mayor.
Because the salary is higher.
Yeah, because the salary's so much different. So we're going to have to make a
So he
guess.
says
But
the
let's
benefits
look
are
at the
different.
people, and then we'll make an educated
you're
guess.
gonna have to make an educated guess because I don't know how the other contract works. My contract says if I get rid of Harry, Harry's got the right to take Jim's job if he has more seniority. So you can get rid of, let's say, Officer 1, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get rid of
Right.
Officer 1.
But the
And
fact
you can wind
remains-
up increasing your
Okay.
costs.
Do I think consolidation is a good idea?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, because without, for the most part, any personnel cuts, any selling of assets, any of that, just on operating expenses without people, the savings is $1,049,778, and that's adjusting it for Dave's adjustments.
No, I was just talking about, we were talking
What do
about
you have?
personnel in the courts. And
No, but I'm saying
128,000.
this is a considerable savings.
How
When
much
you
did you-
add,
Sure.
You add personnel, it's going
no,
to be...
no,
And
when
this
you add,
process is worth doing. Has anybody ever looked at these two governments together in this way ever before? I don't think so.
I don't think so. And when you add to that, even without personnel, the $1 million that Susan and I got, okay,
Yeah.
plus this million, that's $2 million already.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with this picture if people aren't in favor?
Yeah.
Well, I
Well,
think I think there are, you know,
Well, yeah.
And I want to say, I have read Susan's proposed budget, and we three have read it, and it's a very good job. Congratulations.
The idea too, when you talk, Sally, when you're talking about what you just were speaking about, this goes back to your outreach committee.
Well,
I
they have to
have,
start doing
I
the
don't,
work. They
I
have
don't
to
know,
start
I'm
doing-
not saying anything, because I don't know what they did or what they're not doing or
They're
whatever.
working on it.
I'm just saying, but that's where the key, that's where that committee
Kind of
becomes
information
key.
should be.
Yeah.
Ariana and Stuart, are you listening this evening?
Now, I do think in some ways something was really done a little unfairly relative to this whole process in a sense that I think puts us at a disservice that we have to get over. But if, you know, when you look at the different consolidations, if we had dissolved the village as an alternative, if that was one of the alternatives, the $1 million was there. You could get the $1 million if the village was dissolved. And so if that budget was brought forward, you would have showed a savings right off the bat on property tax because you would have had that $1 million. Now, it might not be the right way to go for the community, but because we brought forward a budget that shows the town village consolidating, the budget wasn't necessarily put together as thoughtfully as we're doing it. It was just added together. It showed a tax increase to the town inside the village. So what we now have is a perception out there by consolidating, it's a cost to the town residents
Which
outside
I
the
think
village.
is entirely false. And
That's
without grounding.
Well, I agree with you, and that's my point. Is the fact that I think that by that misinformation being put out, that's right now a roadblock to the consolidation. Is people have that misinformation that basically says that the taxes are going to go up to the town outside the village. So we have to basically one of the things we have to do is correct that misperception and put out the correct information, because we're already starting with a step back because of misinformation being put out there and getting a hold, and now people being sort of like against it to an extent based on false information.
Okay, but people, I do want to point out, people love to believe misinformation.
Oh, really?
And they love to deal with it. I'm
Is that
sorry.
true, Sally?
I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. But the consolidation study, when the committee recommended that it must be
Cost
a
neutral.
break-even
Yep.
tax increase for either side, the study showed if $500,000 was cut out, that would be even Steven, and we have done
$2 million.
it double so far. So,
Actually,
more.
quadrupled, because
right,
you got the.
I'm not even going to put that million in. I'm just saying, based on this study,
Right.
that you needed to get 500,000 out
Okay.
of a consolidated budget so that the town would have no tax increase. We have already done that and exceeded that, and we're going to exceed it more.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we're at $1.4 million right now. Million. What did I tell you?
$1.2 million, maybe.
Okay.
Without
Well, I
odds
think
and
I think the
personnel.
point is just that and you know I think that when we get through with this with these figures, okay, I think that I personally think that I think that we should put some contingency in, and
Put in what?
Contingency.
We have
contingency.
30% from the $1 million grant. So I don't think we need to put any contingency in.
Well, I think we should put contingency in because I don't think it's a perfect.
Well,
I don't think we're perfect. Be able to do this perfectly and perfectly. And,
Yeah, but you've already built in contingency, sir, that I've agreed to.
no,
actually-
I haven't.
but actually
I haven't built. I haven't put any.
But actually,
contingency.
you know what Sally's saying in a way, though, is if you take the $1 million where the 70% has to go to property tax reduction, and the other 30%, you can sort of say out of that $1 million revenues, capture some of that you allocate
As a
towards contingency.
Okay.
Which you're going to have to do, really, practically
So-
speaking.
Sure.
So we don't have to, like, basically within our budget
Right.
find it. We can sort of say the state is actually giving us that contingency, that 30% that's not being forced to go to property tax, but we're not raising taxes for that contingency
Let me reinforce what Sally said. We were already at a point
that we're
where
below.
if this budget were actualized by a
Right.
single coterminous government, people in the village would benefit, people outside the village would benefit, and we're likely going to find more savings than we found as of
Oh,
tonight.
absolutely. So I just want to understand. You're saying right now, based on the work that we've done, you're
Yes.
showing $1 million for savings.
No,
Yeah,
1.1.
$1.2 million.
$1 million too.
Million too.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm off a little. So
And-
right now you're selling $1 million too, and that's before we even really fine
And
tune this
before,
more.
and before the New York State payment, if that
Right.
should come to
That
us.
doesn't even count the $1 million.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, but so we're already up to $1 million savings.
Yes.
Yeah,
Of which
and
you're
that's
saying-
without personnel.
And you're saying that, and you're saying that the
The
yeah, that
efficiency.
efficiency thing said if you did the 500,000, you'd be break even. So we've already met the break even.
Yep.
We've already exceeded
Overhead
it.
beyond-
Then we
beyond
also got
that.
the $1
We
million.
are well,
Yes. Yeah.
onto the green pasture side for the town taxpayers.
So the bottom line is
But
not going to
I
be
want
any
you to know,
increases. Yes.
2 people have already lost dinner bets with me, and I intend to collect. And since it's 2, maybe I can take a guest.
Well, because it was your
We couldn't even get when we did the
when
model
you did the model, you
budget.
showed your $1 million, and they
Okay,
didn't
we
believe
did
it.
1.13. We've done even better than the model budget we did.
Yes, exactly.
And at that point, I had
There's
two.
more to be.
Well,
Two
I'm,
bets.
I'm confident that back of the envelope work was pretty good. If this confirms it and saves a little more.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I mean, we haven't done the revenue, whatever. But when we did the revenue, well, most of it's pretty good. But there are changes in the works right now that are happening, that with the county, in terms of the county moving forward, with them taking possibly over safety net, which cuts an expense from the town. But also, if they do flow control, which I believe they have to do, because the county cannot bring their budget in without doing flow control, but the town stands to gain an incredible amount of revenue from the extra garbage that gets brought in
At the transfer station.
at the transfer station,
And those are
so-
things we haven't even thought about in this because
That's-
we're doing
Well,
Well, that's what I'm
2011.
saying.
you really, those
it's
things,
gonna keep. It's gonna keep. I mean, hopefully, we're gonna even have more benefits.
But
That's all.
I really.
but that would benefit would exist whether
Sure.
in fact we did
Okay.
this or not.
I began, so I'm
Right.
going to end
Right.
tonight with the following. It is not a budget. It is actual expenditures.
That's right.
So we're going to have to think of another name and not call it our model budget.
no,
It is not
this
a
is
budget.
Our model budget will be the budget that we
That
bring
we project
forward,
out.
For
that we
14 or
believe
15.
is the
Right.
whatever. But again, we're gonna still have to put that in some kind of context.
Right.
Okay, but yes, Sally's right in the sense of what we're doing right now is what we. I think the way you do it is, here's your town actual 2011, here's your village actual 2011, and if the town and village were one government, this is what it would have
we would've
cost
spent
actually
in
to
2011,
run that government in 2011.
2011. Right.
You would have saved $1.2 million, or possibly when we're done, $1.5 million. If
Oh.
we were to
When we're done,
No, more than that.
I'll bet you dinner we're going to be over
More than
2
that.
million.
I say 2.5.
Yeah, I think
I say 2.5.
I think those are
I said
achievable
that.
numbers.
okay, so
Dave
So-
won't bet on this
okay,
with us, but you
okay.
and I will.
well,
Well,
agree.
the question,
well, I do believe we're going to
the
see more
rest of you
savings.
people will probably be around when the rubber hits the road. Okay, I won't have to worry about it.
Are you planning on going somewhere next year?
No.
Because it's going to be done by
No.
next year.
But
Remember what he just said.
and I think Dave is right that you can adjust the 2011 numbers appropriately with the right factors
Right.
to get to 14 or 15, and probably the percentage savings of 11 could be maintained.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
The actual numbers may vary, but the general sense and shape of what you're saving should
Right.
probably be retained.
I agree.
But again, it's we're presenting a real 2011 budget town, real 2011 budget village, and
No.
what we
Actuals.
real
Not budget.
no real. I
Actual
said real.
Actual
Actual
expenditure.
spending.
We're
Actual
not
spending
using
for 20.
actuals, Sally. Come on. No, we're not using actuals.
No,
We
no,
put
the
those
we are.
levels.
For
We
the
have
annual
the
report.
actuals here. Okay, all right.
But we're using the annual reports. That's where these numbers are from.
That's what actuals
Mine
are.
were
The
from
annual
They're
report.
from the annual report.
The problem that you have, okay, is that we have cut some of those figures, all right?
No, I'm saying that we're showing actual spending for 2011 for the town,
By the village.
actual spending for 2011 for the village, and then
If we
based
were
on the work
merged.
that we've done, if we were one government, what we believe is a best representation of what it would have cost to run this government, and the savings we would have realized. That's what
That's
we're doing.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, whoa. I beg to differ with you, okay? All right? Because we have, in cases, in some of these figures, we have put down something that is lower than either what the town spent or what the village spent. And you cannot do that
Yes.
if you're going to say that's a good.
Well,
No,
then
no,
we
no,
might
no,
as
no,
well
no.
well,
include
if
the
it's perfect-
supervisor's
No, Dave.
salary and the mayor's salary and say we're running two governments pretending
Yeah.
to be one.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. So, I mean,
Doesn't
she's having,
work.
right now, we're showing actual spending for the town, actual spending for the village. If we were one government, you wouldn't be paying 10 board members, you'd be paying 5. You wouldn't be paying a mayor and a supervisor, you'd be paying 1. You wouldn't be paying 2 clerks. You wouldn't be paying
two
for
repeaters.
for 2 repeaters. You wouldn't be paying for 2 attorneys for the planning and the whatever. So, what we're saying is that the third budget that we're working on is what we believe would be the actual expenditures if we were one government. And that's everything we've been working on. That's what we've been meeting and doing.
Well,
for
I'll
the-
give you a perfect example, which is the first ones I discussed on. Okay, if you're going to make a town budget that says a 2011 town budget, and you say town budget $76,483 for court contractual,
we put it back up. We moved it back to what the real number is. We changed it to reflect the real number.
Yeah.
We've already done that.
but there are other ones that's
no,
like that.
whatever change had been made that didn't reflect the real spending that was town spending, we put back to the real spending, saying you can't change that unless we were able to justify why the expense would have been less.
Well,
That's
but we
what we've
made
just
an
done.
assumption, for example, in the question of attorneys.
But then we
Okay.
added back in.
Contractual.
But we added it back in
because
because I said
you
you
begged for
can't. Because
We didn't do that.
Yes, we did.
Yes,
Yeah,
we did.
Yes, we did.
No, we did.
We added $20,000
Yes, we did, Dave.
in, and
We
you
added-
agreed to it.
We added $20,000
subtracted
into
20
the.
from the savings.
And subtracted 20 from savings.
We did. Where is lawyers.
And you have to tell. I have to tell you, Dave, that a town that can spend 7 times for attorney fees what a village spent for the same population, I'd say you have a budgeting problem in the town.
Well, we added $20,000 in
Right,
for the
we did.
for the attorney.
I know this. We're in 95, but
Yeah,
you
I
know
know.
what? But you know what? The town spent 115 last year.
Because they spent it improperly.
That's beside the point. I won't deny that. Okay, I won't deny that.
Well,
Okay,
hopefully,
but
with a
what-
merged government, even in 2011, common sense would have prevailed.
All the residents of this community are part of the town.
Yes, absolutely.
So if there was a problem, it could have been addressed by any one of the residents, whether they live physically in the town or the village.
I suspect when Blue and Chris get together, we're going to save even more.
Yeah, well, your employees have
'Cause we haven't
a
put-
great information base in the employees.
No, but just in contractual.
Sure.
I think the two of them will be able to reduce our contract, like Susan's idea with snow removal.
Yeah,
The village is
rationalize it.
contracting out to have
crazy.
snow when the town trucks are sitting there.
That'll come right off the bat. That savings comes come right out. The
I
fact
think-
That's
that
probably $50,000 right there.
Okay, one of the situations I want to ask this because, and this is the sensitive part, and I know that. The question of snow removal, right? The former supervisor put snow removal of the town snow removal in the town-wide budget.
Yes, we saw that.
Yes, but Susan's taking care of that.
I know
well,
that.
I took care of it, but the
I
board
know
might have me
that,
bring it
okay.
back into the DA
But I
fund.
think
but
the point that I'm
that
trying to
remains to be-
make is that I think in the 2000, when we compare the 2000, say this is what 2011 would be, okay? I think that what we should put that where it really belongs, okay? And that is town outside of village.
Now, Dave, you just sat here and yelled at us and screamed at us for not putting the actuals the way they're supposed to be, and now you want to do it.
Not when we first do the situation, okay? But I think we have to do that particular thing as we do.
Dave,
It's a
Dave.
question of what we're doing, okay? This is 2011 if we were combined in
Dave,
2012.
Dave, I'll correct you only. Two things. Gonna have to correct. I have to.
Yeah.
What they did was they took the A, the B, that they didn't. It doesn't matter. They already took the A
Right, we did.
and the, so they already have.
Of course,
Like here, you have snow removal. They already have it here.
We tried to put lines together where
So they did like they
belong.
showed the DB, the DA, so they have all these numbers in here.
and in a combined budget, they're not all those multiple budgets.
Right,
It's
exactly.
just the one budget.
Right,
And
so right
I
over
think
here-
Blue and Chris are. I
Right,
think
so
Susan's idea to have them with us is an excellent. I'm wondering if we shouldn't have Blue and Chris next time,
I think-
and
I think,
then do
honestly,
facilities.
Maybe so.
I think honestly, to maybe do Blue and Chris in a separate meeting first.
I agree.
Try to work out all the details because it could take a long time and stuff, and then we could have them come to a meeting
With facilities.
We could have and it would make sense with facilities anyway because they're going to have an impact on what they think. But to sit with Blue and Chris and really work out the nitty gritty details
And
it's
have
like
a real good
Yeah, I think it would be-
understanding.
then I think if they have like a really better understanding, then we can come to the committee. They could be all presented. We can all see if we agree with it. I think it'll be more efficient. It was like again, like Nancy and I getting together offline today to just go over some of the stuff. So when we went over this stuff, questions that you guys had, I was able to go right into Patty. Say, Patty would do the deep analysis into why whatever. We could come back and have the answers tonight and stuff. So some of this work you have to do where you have the resources available. So if we sit with Chris and Blue, we figure out all this whatever, and then we come back to the committee and say this is the way we believe it
You
should
think
work.
it can be done before next Monday?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing that's going to be tricky for all of us to do, and we might have to excuse Dave.
Do what?
She's saying she doesn't want you at the next meeting. What were you going to say,
No.
Sally?
I did not say that. The three.
She said we have to excuse you. I don't know where she's excusing you from, but
We have to figure out how we want to handle fund balances. Okay,
That's
in
a
terms
general
of the fund
Well, I think
balance,
that's just something that.
Aren't
The fund balance
balances
for
sort of the control numbers
2011.
you're talking about?
okay,
That's where your fund balance is reflected in on your balance sheet.
and
Yeah.
and should
But you want to show it on your.
You wanna know
should
what it is.
more have been of the fund balance, should more have been given back to the taxpayers, and if so, what does that figure look like? And then project that out, and you're going to have to, it's going to be a very tricky thing, so just begin to think about it and how you want to handle it.
It's not.
Now,
that
the other situation,
difficult. It's not.
I don't. Yeah,
You don't wanna do it?
understand
No, I said it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
Oh no, I know you know it's not.
what- Yeah, well, it's not.
Yeah,
but,
but it's
but I don't
Sally,
understand what you
so
really.
the other thing
I don't
is,
know
and
what
I don't
she's-
know whether your committee talked about this, the question, is the other question is, what about the property per se? Okay, in other words, property that was purchased specifically for village use, okay? Property that was paced for, specifically for town use, out town funds. I'm talking about basically highway equipment, okay?
That's going to be in with our fixed assets
Do you
discussion.
have?
Well, and the
That's
capital
not-
the
assets?
answer in previous village town combinations
Do you have
is
GSP
that there's a
34?
law
Are you
passed in
GSP 34
Albany
compliance?
which
I think
defines
so. but-
how that
Then
would
you should
be.
have
Unless
like a
you-
listing in a
We,
spreadsheet.
we would suggest to Albany
think
how
we
we would
do.
want that divided, and then they would enact a law.
Are we talking
But
about
that-
the fund balance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Well,
just
or
that's
or
what,
assets.
Well,
for that
partly
matter.
that's why I partly when we were, that was being discussed to me.
No, no,
sort of like that'll be really
unappropriated fund balances are
Different-
different than
different thing.
appropriated
no, but
fund
I
balances.
still think that's.
But they've been
Okay.
talking about things that are owned
Yeah,
by the
think
village.
I think
Dave
that's
is
still more
talking about a
controllers.
totally different thing. He's talking about fixed assets, and that's part of what Susan suggested earlier, and I concurred with her that that is a very good thing to talk about with Blue and Chris, because they'll know if
Right.
we have
too much equipment.
too much equipment and whether we should get rid of some of it, whether
Well, and the
what
authorization,
we should keep.
the authorization to do all that, and where the money that comes from it is applied, is typically put in an enabling law that passes through Albany.
Right.
So it defines what
Right.
the community's
How
thinks
you're
is
gonna
wise
how you're
to
gonna
do.
merge assets.
But technically,
But what
I'm
I
sorry.
was raising wasn't that. What I was raising is that I would like us to begin to think about how to handle fund balances and recommendations with in other words, if you gave $100,000 for the purposes of reducing taxes in 2011, say, and you had the wherewithal to give 700,000, should that have been done, and should we reflect it, which would then reflect an even lower budget? So think about it. Don't want to discuss it. Just think about it. How we should do it.
And if you don't do that, how does that budget? How does those balances get? How do they get applied once a merger's?
Exactly.
That's a very, offhand, it's a very simple
Good.
solution as far as I'm concerned.
That's good. I'm not,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not trying.
What
to
are you
make
going to
more
do? Give it
complicated.
all back?
No, the town-wide budget surplus,
Yep.
a fund surplus, stays as part of the new merged government.
Makes sense.
All right?
Yeah, but we have to be careful we don't exceed the amount allowed.
We
Well, that's-
Susan can reduce her taxes more this year, so you don't carry anything much in.
well, okay.
You could do it
Use
that
more
way
fund
too.
balance.
Let me finish. The
Yeah, but
the
we have to still
city,
see some of the expenses.
the village
like I have to figure
taxes,
the
okay,
contracts and all
and the
that stuff. So I
surplus
might have to.
in the
But
village,
it's then you have to worry about next year.
in the
And how
village
you
have an
handle that would
general
depend upon
budget.
whether
I'm not
referendum
talking
passed or
sewer,
not.
that's the rest of those things.
You would
See?
behave differently if
Goes
you knew
back-
it was a new
See, but
government.
don't
To the village
the more you
residents
reduce your taxes,
and the town, the ones
This
outside
year,
the town, if there's
the
a B
harder
fund.
it is.
You're going to be
Yeah, but-
reducing
it
taxes
goes
next year and the
to
year
And
after.
by the
Well,
way,
but I'm just saying
the
that you have to
DA
just-
and the
but still-
DB
you
I
have
know,
to-
but you know what?
surpluses.
with the cap, you still have to be careful that you don't put yourself.
Yeah.
I could probably reduce B-fund taxes now
where there
because
was
of the
money
Time
was
Warner
taxed
money
from,
coming
which I
in.
guess is
I would-
townwide.
You know, and stuff. So we will,
But
you
I
know,
have a
but you still have
question
to.
for Susan
If
for the
you all of a sudden don't
comptroller.
raise taxes at all, then the next year when you do,
I wouldn't raise taxes at all after what all the taxpayers have gone through.
no,
around
but
here.
we'll try to figure that out. All I'm saying,
Yeah.
but I'm
I
just
would
saying,
give
like,
them
in
a break this year.
But no, I understand that. But say, for example, I was able to get rid of all the B-fund taxes, but then next year, when if next year, God knows whatever kind of stuff. Now because of the cap, how do you if you have to if your base is zero, Then what is it, $200 that you could
You're
give
gonna
the next year?
You're going to reduce your expenses next year anyway. You're working
no.
with a pretty hefty fund balance.
You know, and stuff. So I'm.
I'm not sure. We haven't gotten the answer to that question yet,
Which
Susan,
one?
and that is whether, when we merge for the first year, whether the tax cap applies.
We'll make it.
Nope, that's not my.
I'm not worried about that.
Question.
I don't worry about that either.
I don't actually know.
This is a question that has
Yeah.
been raised
They're going to have to sort of. I think there's a lot
by
of things.
communities
Now,
thinking about
that's
merging.
a problem. Okay, this is not a budget that is approved by the voters. It's only a budget that's approved by either the town board or the village board, and that's only there's a 3 out of 5.
No. But what Sally's basically saying is how if the tax cap is your tax levy. Okay, so for example, it might be as simple. You take. It's a crazy. You can't do that because you can't add.
No,
you
that's
can't-
why I think
yeah.
I'm
So the
right.
question-
The 2% doesn't apply for the first year of the merged
because
budget.
you have to. The cap is relative to what's my taxes I raised in the A fund, what's the taxes I raised in the B fund, what's the tax whatever. So when you have now a new combined budget, you don't have a baseline tax that you can measure your 2% cap off of, because you no longer have a baseline because it's a new government with new tax
You're going to
levies.
go way under that 2%
So-
anyway, so I wouldn't even.
No, I
it's
understand,
not even going to fall.
but
So.
I have a question for you. You've 2011 ended with a considerable fund balance.
That's not extraordinary.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Well, I mean, it's decent. It's better than what she told me and what she expected. So, I mean, I look at it as a blessing as opposed to the curse that I originally was told.
What is the percentage of your fund balance right now to your operating budget?
I have to do the
What is
math.
your operating budget for like the A
It's 8
What is
million,
it like?
isn't it?
Something like that.
without water and sewer? I don't want water
Yeah,
and sewer.
no,
in there or
I
anything.
think it's
I just want
8
the A and the B and then
Do you have the budget on you, or shall I pull mine?
I do.
I just closed up.
That's right. There's a budget. There's probably an extra budget
Right
worksheet right there.
Oh.
Go up, open. Is there? Did we move the stuff because of?
No, I just.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 million.
Yeah, and then you probably you have to like add the
Okay. You're asking town? Yeah, you got A fund?
The 6 sounds right. 6 plus the 321 for the library. Anyway, I think
Anyway,
at the
I
end
have
of the day,
big
anyway,
question.
is we have
Okay,
we have to work with the controller's office and the Department of State to figure out how they want us to bookkeep all those answers. There's certain things with like the like you were talking about the land that the town owns, the land that
I had a nice question. Could you take a portion? Yeah, it is
got
8
8
million
million.
6. I was right. So you have a fund balance left over from 2011. Okay,
Well-
don't worry about this year's fund balance. Could or would the comptroller allow you to use some of that to resolve water and district sewer fund problems and bring them up to snuff?
Not if
possibly,
it's
I don't
money
know.
in the A.
Probably
Not if
not.
it has nothing to do with water and sewer. The
I
fund
wouldn't think
balance
so.
rolled in from the A and the D, A and the B, right?
Well, it's
Right.
actually the
That's not what I'm.
it's a
I'm
si-
not
It
asking.
won't.
No,
I'm
no,
not
but-
asking. I mean,
It
I know
won't.
normally you
Yeah.
can't do that, but could under these circumstances?
Well, no,
Probably
but it's a reverse, Sally, because it's a sewer district and the water and sewer
Yeah.
districts that owe money back to the
Right.
A fund. So you're asking
The A
to
fund
take
to
the
pay-
A fund to
pay
pay the A
itself.
fund back.
Everything is
Exactly.
doubled. No.
That is
No,
exactly
but you
what I'm
double,
saying.
you're double dipping to you.
But
now,
you've got you double dip to
No, but-
take from the taxpayers to begin with to end up with the fund balance that was ended up with. So I'm just saying.
No. We would have.
Why
had more.
can't we just-
No, Sally. We would have had a bigger fund balance if we didn't take that money and spend it. So now, right,
Yeah.
right, Nancy.
You're right. You're right.
going home.
But do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm saying-
not
I'm saying you
asking legally.
I know what you're saying.
I'm not asking
But this-
procedurally. I'm
unfortunately-
saying there's a certain pool of money out
Okay.
there.
But what you're doing
All
is
right.
you're going back to the
The
users.
meeting is adjourned.
They're the ones who have to pay back.
I know.
Okay. The question is, could we get a dispensation from the state to sort of say
think you
these
would.
taxpayers are already overburdened